take first watch.
Good morning, and welcome to a very merry new episode of the First Watch podcast. I'm Zach, and I'm here as always with Cole. How are you?
Do you have the password to be here?
You kind of look like your dad just got a new job on a volcano fighting robots, and you're trying to protect your secret identity. Small
And
So,
brother runs
so,
fast.
so, so you don't have the password.
Uh, Let me write it down on a napkin. Hold on. Morgan, how are you?
we're in the spirit. It's a
Yeah,
spirited time,
indeed.
and I forgot my mask, which more more fool me.
We could run down to the shop and see if there are anybody there to
Hmm.
help us get properly wardrobed for this event. The guy giving the password, that is the very own director of Tar, is it not?
And indeed,
Yes, indeed.
One Todd Field. Today we're here to talk about, as you can maybe see behind me, talked a little bit about The Shining last week, but we have kind of flirted with doing an Eyes Wide Shut Christmas December type of episode for a long time. Actually, behind me here, you might see two movies that I believe are kind of traditional for Cole here. The Muppet Christmas
That's
Carol
correct.
and Stanley Kubrick's Eyes Wide Shut. So we'll talk a little bit about both of those today, as it is the December holiday. So after being off for a month, we decided we're going to come right back next week. So probably a quicker, smaller episode, but we do still have some of the typical things to talk about. So we'll kick it off with new releases. Morgan, you got anything?
so two big ones. I caught up with Jafar Panahi's "It Was Just an Accident,"
That is a
and
big one.
Yeah.
and I recently heard it was pronounced Joachim from Renata Reinsve herself. So
Ah,
Joachim Trier's sentimental value. Uh, it
Neon
was just an
Sweep.
ex. Yeah, it was just an accident. Blows your fucking hair back
Hmm.
as the
hmm
ensemble of the year.
Yeah.
Um,
Although it
like
didn't, it's not on the short list.
no, they don't. If you don't speak the English, you're not fucking no other choice. Also not represented.
But
Um,
somehow Sirach got in.
I don't know what's going on there. I'm curious about that movie, but that doesn't seem like a anyway. It was just an accident, or my preferred title, Un simple accident. Yeah, bracing, terrifying, like a just a primal scream of a movie, quite literally in its third act. Just that one long ass take of the red light, brake light. That's all
Yeah,
I'll say.
yeah.
Fucking ugh.
It's been a year of things that remind me of the Coen brothers. Like we could
Yeah,
rifle them off, but that sequence, that this movie wouldn't remind you of the Coen brothers. Not. I mean, maybe a little. Maybe like you could almost see them doing a version of this, the kind of cosmically bleak thing, not the real world politics of it. But those sequences with the brake lights are just very Fargo to me. Anytime I see
yeah.
imagery like that, I go to
Yeah.
Fargo.
Thematically, I was reminded frequently of Lady Vengeance.
Yep, yep,
And especially in just like the bones and structure of that movie. So it's
totally.
fun that two of my favorite movies this year are just Park Chan-wook movies.
Yeah.
Um, but this is lacking in the sort of raisin brutality that you see
Hmm.
in a Park movie. There's no like violent set piecey moments in this. It is all
Yeah.
like the things off screen almost are what has mattered most to the
Hmm.
characters in their lives, and we catch up with them in moments that are also pivotal, but pivotal as a result of the life-changing uh, tornado that a regime threw them through.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely a lot of violence in the dialogue, in the past, in the memories of these characters. And then there is some violence, but it does such a good job of yanking you back. You know, I rewatched Lady Vengeance prior to last week's pod when the new Park Chan-wook movie was coming out. We were talking about that. both of these very much center on a group of people with this conundrum of what are we gonna do now? In Lady Vengeance, I'm like, cut his fucking head off, you know?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there's no hesitation. I'm just like, that fucker's evil, get him. And in this movie, it's like that fucker's evil, get him, but it's a way more you really are much more in the throes of both the moral issue at the center, but maybe also just the threat, like the regime still exists, right? So
Yeah.
are we really
Hmm.
gonna stick our necks out to try to do this? Unlike a Park Chan-wook movie, which tend to be very, even when they're grim and not very nice to the characters, they're very fantastical. Like we can
Yeah,
rip a guy in
operatic.
half and it's
Yeah.
okay. Whereas here, it's like, no, there's probably really severe consequences if anybody, I mean, obviously it's murder, right? It's murder,
Mm.
but it's murder of a particularly, that's going to come back to haunt you later with a squeak squeak and a scrape
S-
scrape.
Evil,
I think that one
evil
guy in the
ending.
group had a point, just shoot him in the
Oh
head and be
yeah.
done with it.
Oh, for
No, yeah.
sure. But that
No,
guy who does
if
have a point is also like clearly the group's most unstable member, and you're like, please walk away from this situation.
yeah,
Please just leave.
Yeah.
you are going to be telling this story to somebody in a bar in a
Yeah,
week. So,
exactly.
Yeah.
For those of us who have seen The Mastermind, he's like the guy that they add to the robbery crew who gets arrested like 20 minutes
Uh-huh.
later
Yeah,
and then immediately
exactly.
dimes everybody out.
such is the way. Um,
Yeah.
stellar work, deserving Palm winner. Hope to see it in the Best Picture list
hmm
in
I
general. Was
assume
it
It
it will
should.
be.
shortlisted? Yeah,
It,
It was
okay.
we don't have the
shortlisted.
we don't have the shortlist for Best Picture.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But it is in the short list for best international feature.
Yep.
Yeah, deserved. Um,
France might
killer.
finally win.
Yeah, because like everything, they had to steal it.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I do think in this case, I might have even said this on the pod. That's a that's a very classic France thing, is like making the producing, distributing the movies made by people that have been unable to make it in their home country.
Yeah.
Like they have a long like the one that I always think about is Kieslowski, the
mm,
Polish director,
Mhm.
left Poland after the fall of communism, went to
Yeah.
France, and then you get your three
Mhm.
colors and you get your double life of Veronique and
Yeah.
all that stuff. So
Yeah.
that's like part of their DNA.
Mhm.
So I think that's actually kind of cool. Because
And
God
Germany,
knows Iran's not submitting this.
yeah, Germany did this last year with the Seed of the Sacred Fig, for example, as
Mm-hmm.
well.
Yeah. Sadly, nobody did it for the Pakistani Joyland a few years back.
Mm,
That would have been a solid place to, because again, Pakistan's not nominating that movie.
and it is a cool thing that they do, but sometimes it's, Roman Polanski making Jacques Hughes in your country.
A
So,
100%.
uh,
yeah. When your most
uh,
popular movie stars Gerard Depardieu, something's gone wrong.
Yeah.
that's tough. That's a tough beat. Um, sentimental value. Uh, fantastically written, extremely compelling performances all around. Probably the second best ensemble of the year. It's funny
Yeah.
that I doubled up on these in the same day. Um,
Mm,
lot of boring IKEA interiors. Like and this is just,
Ha ha ha.
this is just what it is, I guess, sometimes. But especially with that old ass house that's just, like so much history in, I'm like, why doesn't this feel like a place? I don't know.
Hmm.
It threw me off continually in the movie, especially when the house itself plays such a pivotal role in it, and it looks like modern white fluorescent design has taken over everything, like it has in
that
so
that
many
final
classic houses.
montage is like a
Yeah.
stab to the heart.
Yeah. When the
That
crowbar
is,
comes out.
it's
Hmm.
like, oh, they can make it worse. Sorry, I perhaps I was too harsh on you, Thanos
I
voice.
like how that house looks. Although all of Trier's movies kind of have this like worst person in the world has some colorful moments, but like particularly like Oslo, August 31st, gray,
Hmm.
dreary.
Yeah.
But like that's the mood of that movie. Like, right, this guy wants to fucking blow his brains out. So you're like moodily going around Europe and it's all desolate and fucked up looking. But like dry, in like a dry 21st century way, not in a flavorful 1970s Death in Venice kind of way. That's sort of that Northern Europe hostility, Protestant hostility that all of his movies have.
Yeah, it's something that I still really, really liked the movie. It's something that frequently took me out of it though, especially because there's like no effort to stylize anything beyond the camera movements. Like I think it's a good looking movie in the sense that it is shot very well. Like it
Mm.
looks great, but the things that are on screen are usually pretty flat.
There's like a handful of moments, but honestly, they don't really stack up to be my favorite part. Like there's the whole movie's kind of revolving around the family of the three characters. You get the father and the two daughters, and there's a scene
Hmm.
where it's like a close up of their faces, and it's like there's like a light wing, and they're all
Yeah.
transitioning into each other, and it's a cool visual moment. But you're also like, this doesn't really feel like it belongs anywhere in this movie, right? To your point,
No,
like
I was
it's
just like,
such a
what?
left field, like whoa, huh?
Okay.
I was like
Uh,
the Charlie XCX Apple edits to this are gonna go fucking crazy.
there's like a beach sequence where he meets the Elle Fanning character, and they got the umbrellas out there. You know, there's some stuff. Like there's a particular shot that I imagine made it into most of the marketing. I never saw a trailer for this, but where it's like Stellan Skarsgård like looking out at the beach in his little suit or whatever.
Yeah, that
Incredible
was in there.
performance. You know, I've heard a lot of debating. I don't think I've really heard a single friend who has been out there like Renat Reinsve. This is like the greatest performance. Like everybody was on top of her for worst person in the world, where she was like the true blue lead character. Here she's sharing it with Lilias, with Skarsgård, and with Fanning. To me, like Stellan Skarsgård's the runaway here. Like that's the story. He's the guy. He's the character. As good as the
I've
girls are.
I've found a lot of traction with Lilius in this film,
Hmm.
in
Kind
part
of
because it's a relatively underwritten character compared to everybody else.
she's like
Under,
doesn't want the
un,
drama. Like I'm not part
yeah,
of this. I'm just
Hmm.
yeah,
here.
but like the part which frankly could have been cut from the movie and made no difference whatsoever, but I'm glad it didn't. It wasn't cut. You know, when she's in the library looking at old
Yeah.
files, there's like
Hmm.
just doing unbelievable work for a scene that I don't know why is in the movie.
And
Mhm.
just like watching every emotion flash across her face
Yeah.
I
as
think
she
it's
uncovers like
important.
this long family trauma that hasn't been discussed.
I think it's important to have her in there to have someone to show you what the movie really is. If you removed her, then it suddenly becomes much more like it's a father-daughter story and it's about their trauma, which this other daughter's part of. But like you need that inert element in there, I think. I mentioned this last week talking about this movie. The biggest criticism I have heard of it is that it resolves itself too cleanly. And I think that sister's presence is such a key detail to understanding that like no, none of this is resolved. It's just
Hmm.
been muted. We've pacified it because that's her personality. Like that's how she behaves. That's how she thinks. You know, things aren't over just because the movie ends. And I think I don't know. There's the past lives. Celine Song has that characteristic. There's a lot of movies that have that characteristic, but uh, like where the plot of the movie almost eventually starts to feel secondary to the emotional dynamics that are driving the plot of that movie. So the plot ends, but everything's still as it was, you know, more or less. And I think that's an important thing. I don't think that works. Is the character's name Agnes? I think her name is Agnes. I
Yes.
don't think it works as well without her there.
Hmm.
Agreed.
And also
Um,
because her being there means her son's there, which leads to
Yeah.
the funniest joke in the entire movie.
I think the IKEA joke's funnier.
hmm,
I mean, that one's really, really funny.
The
yeah.
other one, it's a hilarious gag, and then if you think about it for 10 seconds, you're like, he wouldn't do this. He wouldn't do this. Like, I know he's goofy and out of touch, but he wouldn't do this.
I think he just might, honestly.
I don't know. I left. I was literally thinking like, okay, but if you had just done like Amour right there or
Yeah.
Vortex, I think it's you went for the movies that people recognize. You went for those DVD covers where people are like, oh, that's Monica Bellucci. I cannot believe you're doing this. Versus, you know, thinking about how that character actually is and maybe giving him like, you know, Winter Light or something. But anyway, it doesn't matter. It's really funny. It's a really funny joke. Although I don't think that guy spends his days watching Irreversible. I don't. He's such a softie.
He's a European. They're gonna watch that shit no matter what.
Yeah, fair enough. Piano teacher more, but Irreversible is like, huh?
You know, they're laissez-faire over there,
Huh?
nude beaches and all that.
Gustav Borg, resistance is futile.
I know that he five-starred Vortex though. He saw that and was like, "This is a masterpiece." Anyway,
Maybe that's what
doesn't matter.
convinced him to come out of retirement.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Uh,
high marks from that. That's about all for me.
Cole, you got any?
Yeah, so one of the things I caught up with was La Grazia,
Mm,
Paolo Sorrentino's second film of the year, and the one that I prefer more over Parthenope.
yeah.
This
Well,
film,
for sure. I mean, I liked both of them, but yeah, pretty big gap.
Isn't the plot of Parthenope just like what if a woman was gorgeous?
Yep.
yeah, it's a
She's
150
just going around.
minute perfume commercial.
Yeah, she's just going around Naples being hot. It's a good movie. I liked it.
And then
Yeah, I
there's like
mean,
a
I
really
can't
what
defend it
weird,
on an academic level, but I enjoyed it.
yeah, and then there's like a giant mutant baby thing, and I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah. This is definitely the sturdier Sorrentino, and we got Servio back, Tony Servio.
Mhm. Yeah, Tony Savio is playing President Mariano de Santos, who's at the end of his final term as president, and he spends pretty much all his days walking around the Palazzo de Quirinale, regretting things because he was a
Yeah.
centrist and he didn't do shit.
So like
So
again, it's the same like it's guy walks around a place in an emotional state. But yes, there's much more
yeah,
substance and purpose founding like his thing. But
yeah,
ultimately the experience of the movie, it's not that dissimilar
yeah. There are greater stakes here, especially because
for sure.
one, there's a bill about the right to euthanasia,
Yep.
that's weighing heavily on him whether he's going to sign it or not.
what
And
about the
there's
euthanasia?
also
What are they up to? Why do we cut
I don't
that?
know. They're watching anime or something. They're watching
Yeah.
Chainsaw Man. Who knows? Um,
Watch A Brighter Summer Day for more information.
Hmm.
and there's also two pardons for people who committed murder that he has to decide whether he's going to let these people free or not. And this is also wrapped up in his own family dynamics with his daughter, who is basically running the country for him. His son, who's moved off to Toronto and is a music producer, actually Montreal, not Toronto. But you get a lot of just this old man, finding his backbone.
Mm.
He learns how to grow a spine at the end of his presidency.
This is what the movie Mank is about, but we don't have to talk about that right now.
This is better than Mank.
If you say so. If you
But
say
yeah,
so.
no, I thought this was good. Tony Servillo's doing really, really great work. I also loved his best friend, Dorothea,
Mm.
the the art designer who talks a million miles an hour. But I thought this was an interesting exploration of power and how it weighs down on people, and how the spineless find their spines, which is
Hmm.
far too rare.
I was half joking about how it's similar to his other films, but there is like a colder and more reflective and somber
Mhm.
sense to this movie, compared to like The Great Beauty, which
Yeah,
has these elegiac moments, but they're all within this kind of like party, fun, everything's going crazy. This is a very like the imagery of this movie is very like wintry or autumnal and cold and sparse in a way that's I mean, I'm not going to say I don't know Sorrentino's filmography terribly well. I've only really been keeping up with him for the last few years, but that's pretty rare. I think he's a pretty warm filmmaker, and this is a pretty cold movie, which was an interesting mode to see him working in personally,
yeah, it's a switch up from something like Great Beauty or Youth, for example. But
for sure.
I thought this was pretty good. Another thing, so the ping pong balls are out and about in
Yeah,
Los Angeles and New
Martin
York.
Supreme.
Matty
indeed.
Mouse. So I saw Marty Supreme, and it's okay.
Yeah, it looks fine.
The hype cycle.
Regardless of how I feel about it, I will be so relieved to never hear Alphaville's Forever Young ever again in the rest of my life. A song I love that has been trounced by a trailer that is frankly annoying.
I thought you were going to talk
Anyway,
about the Jay-Z cover.
no,
um,
I don't have thoughts on that.
Man, no. This is a film about a ping pong player called Marty Mouser in New York City in the 1950s, who is 23 years old, pimply, and is convinced that he's going to be the greatest athlete in the world. He's going to be the greatest ping pong player the world's ever seen. but life keeps happening because this is a guy who just throws shit at the wall and hopes it sticks. And sometimes that leads to chaos, sometimes that leads to violence, sometimes that leads to people getting shot at, dog nappings, all kinds of crazy shit. So you're just watching Timothy Chalamet go through this whirlwind of chaos and, ruin some people's lives every once in a while in his wake. It's very, very, very similar to Uncut Gems.
Hmm. Yeah,
And to be frank, Chalamet does not have the charisma that Adam Sandler has.
yeah. That's an interesting observation because I mean Adam Sandler was a huge leading man for Adam Sandler type projects for 20 years. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Longer than that, really, but then he
Yeah.
sort of faded into doing more family stuff and Netflix contracts and now he is where he is. Now I would say that he almost feels like more of a I'll show up when I need to show up and do a Hotel
Yeah.
Transylvania and like a supporting role in a Noah Baumbach movie. But Timothy Chalamet, they're building to be like the next guy, like a Leonardo DiCaprio type of guy. And so the idea that like a Leonardo DiCaprio type of guy doesn't have the same charisma as Billy Madison is a little bit like, huh, that might be problematic
It
to the
it
whole
feels
initiative.
it feels very forced. And of course, I'm talking about the
The
marketing
fact that the
campaign on
marketing
top of
campaign
this movie.
it's a movie about ping pong in the 50s. And we're
It's a
marketing it like it's
yeah.
8 Mile. Like he's moving like Slim Shady.
And there's
Like
like connections in the movie to, this idea of someone who wants to be the greatest moving like a hip hop star.
but it's critical of that, I would assume, in the movie. Like
Yeah.
it's showing you that he's kind of like this flawed guy.
Yeah, you're just like, look at this fucking moron. He's
And
leading
then he's
such a
out here in the
goddamn
real
mess.
world. The thing that gets me about everything that he's doing, and I promise if you're this guy that I'm about to refer to, I'm not saying that you're stupid. I'm not trying to judge you. I am mystified by the fact that the response seems to be like, oh, he's the GOAT, like, oh, Timothy Chalamet, he's the coolest white boy we have. It's like, is he? I don't know that I feel like I mean, if you feel like that, that's cool. I'm not I'm feeling a sharp disconnect. This feels like a campaign, not like, this is I've
Yeah.
seen him talk on camera before many, many, many times. And people are allowed to kind of do you guys paid any attention to the Travis Kelce switch up when he started dating Taylor Swift? He kind of went from like shaving his head and having this kind of like hip hop thing to being like shaggy hair and now he's like a white guy again. He
Yeah,
like
it's
kind of
it's
looks like an
it's
Abercrombie
it,
guy.
it's Ariana Grande from dating Mac Miller to Wicked. It's the same
But we're doing it in
trajectory.
reverse here. And
Yeah.
I mean, like, he's been with the Kardashian Jenner collective for a little while. So
Yeah.
are they still happening, by the way? I don't really give a fuck, but is
Oh
it still
yeah, yeah,
happening?
no,
Okay.
he's been out on the red carpets for this movie with Kylie.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. But those feel like they can be very short-lived relationships, but I hadn't heard anything to suggest that that had
And like,
stopped.
there was that video of him performing Roman's Revenge back in college. So like,
Yeah,
in a sense, this is always who he's been, honestly.
he has like a very like I've seen lots of videos from him in the past where he like storms out on stage. So yeah, it's always been there, but this just feels, and I mean,
You know,
I could say the
it
same thing about like the fits that he's wearing meeting Hideo Kojima back when Dune was coming out. So like,
mhm,
he's always kind of had that little bit of a thing, but I'm like, I don't
yeah.
I'm going to say this word a lot today. This just all feels like antics, like marketing antics.
Yeah, and it seems to be paying off because it's
Sure.
having some of the best pre-sales ever for an A24 title.
Hmm.
It's selling out screenings in New York and LA left and right.
Can I
And
grab that? I'm going to grab that and make a point about it because right now I have not seen Sarat, which is also a Neon release, but I've seen
mhm,
four of the big Neon movies. We just talked about them that all are in play for Best Picture, and Sarat might be in Best play for that as well. If there are five Neon Best Picture foreign language nominees, that would be like three would be crazy. Four or five would be nuts. And then you've got A24 who's like, we will pick one movie per year to give a fuck about. And then
mhm.
everything else is we don't care about this. Go over there.
I- well, they settled on two, I think. The problem is that the first one went completely belly up.
Yeah. What was the first one?
Smashing Machine.
Oh, the softies. Okay, softy A and softy B.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
think those
well,
were their two big plans for the year.
I would
One of
have
which has gone tits up.
I would have sworn that Smashing Machine was the more interesting to me of these two coming into it, and obviously that did not pan out. So I don't know. I had a chance to go see Marty Supreme and I just skipped it. I don't even remember what I did. I don't think it was anything particularly important. It was like a free screening of this movie.
Hmm.
And I was just like, I don't feel like going out. I don't feel like driving out there. I'll see it when it comes out.
Yeah. And like this is an incredibly well-made film. It's got incredible production design by the legendary Jack Fisk. Uh the supporting cast is all in their A game. Odessa Zion's great. Gwyneth Paltrow's great for the first time in, God knows how long.
Since seven.
Okay, maybe not that long.
What's in between?
Sorry, I like her in Shakespeare in Love. Sue me.
Yeah, but that's only
No,
like 1 year later.
no, that's 4 years later.
Well, I'm saying, but it's like it's right there. It's in the same decade.
Also, Royal Tenenbaums. Hello.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
There you go.
also not that long after.
Yeah, yeah.
Good to see him in a real movie again. God, I fucking hate saying this, but Kevin O'Leary's really good as an asshole.
I don't care. Get him out of my face. It's such a funny like I don't usually get up in arms like we have name dropped Polanski already on this podcast. Like I'm the last guy to really be like, "Oh, this dude's a piece of shit. This guy's done bad things. Get him out of movies or whatever." Like that is a thorny conversation. I'm not going to open the entire bucket. But I see him and I'm like, "Get him the fuck out of my face." Like even in the trailers, I'm just like, "I don't want to look at this guy. Go away. Be
Yeah,
gone." Why would you I don't know. This whole cast has that kind of Josh Softy energy, I guess. Like,
yeah. I mean, where else are we going to see Mr. Wonderful and Tyler the Creator at the same time?
right, kind of like having
Tyler's
Lakeith
good in this too.
Stanfield and Kevin Garnett, and then fucking I can't even think of her name. The other,
Adina Menzel,
well, Idina Menzel, yeah,
Julia
definitely.
Fox.
Julia Fox is who I was trying to think of. Like Julia Fox arriving like a supernova and then dying like a supernova right after.
Have you read her autobiography?
Of course, I haven't.
You should. It's fucking wild.
Julia Fox's autobiography?
Yeah, it's not long,
She's
but it's
she's like,
fucking
well, yeah, she's like
crazy.
35.
It
Yeah,
is fucking insane.
I
It's
I
it's a
remember
wild
a
read.
situation where she was doing paintings in her menstrual blood, and I was like, "That's enough. I've had enough of that character in my
I
life."
just I just don't really want to hear
Have,
from
have
her, somebody who has had Kanye West inside of them. I don't.
have you seen her Criterion Closet video?
No, I didn't know
She
she had
brought
one.
in she brought in an entire suitcase and filled it up.
Well, yeah,
I mean, hell yeah,
She
that's what I
went
would
so
do.
she
I'm
went
from
They
round the
should,
way.
shopping.
I'm leaving with something.
yeah, they should put normal people in the Criterion Closet for this very reason.
Yeah,
Uh, but yeah, no, I mean it's ultimately a good movie. I'm just a little too tired for the Safdie's antics at this point.
Yeah,
this is
Like,
two and a half hours long.
yeah, and it not that it feels it, but it has a very manic energy that it keeps up for about 95% of that
I was
runtime.
just gonna say, I know in this trio and largely of all my friends, I am way cooler on Uncut Gems than the vast majority of people. And that came out on Christmas Day, saw it the same day as 1917, and that was
Hmm.
one of the most exhausting movie days I've ever spent at the theater, was
Well,
watching
sure.
Uncut Gems in 1917 back to back on Christmas Day, where it's just like this, the gimmick of 1917, it's like this fake one shot, no cut. So you're da, 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 and it doesn't ever, there's like one obvious cut in the middle of it. And other than that, you never get a chance to like slow down or pump the brakes. And then Uncut Gems is the same way. And I just, you know, all respect, I just feel fucking burnt out by that
Hmm.
movie.
And getting back to Chalamet because he's like the center of this movie. It's a good performance. It's not the best of the year.
Right.
It's not the best ever. It's not
Probably not better
crazy.
than Dune, which was
No,
just right here.
no, no,
It's
it's
better
not.
than Wonka. It's probably
Th-
better than Bob Dylan.
See, that's what I think frustrates me when he talks about he's been delivering top of the line performances and great
You're
art
a
and all
franchise
that.
guy. Even
You're
Dune.
you're fucking Willy Wonka.
Even Dune
You're
is a
doing a
book
Bob Dylan
adaptation.
impression.
that HBO, Warner, now Netflix, I guess, are all like throwing in, oh, we're doing a Dune miniseries and a Dune do, and he's very good in that movie. I remember being more impressed with him as Paul Atreides than I have
Hmm.
been since 2017. But
Yeah,
like, dude, outside of Greta Gerwig, your whole fucking career is franchises.
yeah. I don't
So
like go fucking hook up with like Assayas or Claire Denis or like anyone.
Lynn Ramsey,
Yeah, and
Robert
fucking
Eggers, just like a
go
guy.
go fucking prove it outside of, a big blockbuster.
And that's what this feels like. I mean, a little credit back to him. I mean, doing a softie movie, like everybody was ready to rehabilitate Adam Sandler, in spite of the fact that, anyway, doesn't matter. Enough on Cut Gems.
Because uh
Akacha.
but yeah, no, this was just okay. It's
hmm
fine.
You saw that evil movie, not evil movie, evil Jesus movie in terms
Oh
of
my god.
Christmas.
That was so
The
bad.
advent of Jesus, but he's evil. He's
The carp
also
yeah.
Hamlet from Hamnet.
Yeah, the Carpenter's Son, which
Honey
is
Boy
loosely
Reunion,
that's like
everyone's favorite.
God, it's like loosely inspired by this book that got cut out of the Bible. So it's like,
The good old Apocrypha.
yeah, exactly. So it's like, oh, what if young Jesus was tempted by Satan while they were living in Egypt? And
Presumably he was, but go on.
like everyone has a Party City wig on. Everyone has a British accent, except for Nicolas Cage, who is, just
He's
caging it up.
Joseph, right?
Yeah, he's Joseph, and he's like an abusive father.
Great.
I hate
Awesome.
movies.
FKA
Let's wrap it up
Twigs
on the whole fucking
plays
thing.
Mary, and she's got her whole, "Oi, Mister, you me dad" voice, and I
Oh, you
Sure.
also
my mummy.
also this movie takes like the Passion of the Christ route with the devil. It's like an evil non-binary child with scars
That's
all over
that's
his
how
face.
that's how Last Temptation is as well. I mean, it's like a little girl, but it's got that like
Yeah.
kind of androgynous vibe.
Well, this one also has Lilith in it, so make of that what you will.
Although in Last Temptation, Satan is trying to appear as if, innocent, not satanic. So that's part of the gist there.
Yeah. Yeah, no, this was awful.
Yeah, it looked awful. It sounded awful. It's like Brightburn, but about the Lord. It's like,
Yeah,
okay, sure.
laughably bad.
I've only got one, and I might be cutting, so tell me if I'm cutting you off, but I've only got one new release, really, and that is the Wagner Moura starring one of that neon
Ooh.
quad. I actually basically have the four neon movies at the top of my list for the year. Park Chan-wook, Jafar Panahi, and now Kleber Mendonça Filho. I don't know how to speak fucking Portuguese, so I'm probably destroying this guy's name. And then Sentimental Value. And then Paul Thomas Anderson's in the mix there at five. He might, but this has been creeping up. The Secret Agent. Um, I don't want to say a whole heck of a lot about it, mostly because it's got this really dynamic trailer, very gorgeous, saturated, interesting, long. It's nearly 3 hours long movie. I didn't really know what this was about going into it, based on the title and having seen Wagner Moura predominantly through playing Pablo Escobar on Narcos, and like one particular line of dialogue where he's like, "I would kill that guy with a hammer." You have this sense of what the movie's going to be like, and then you get into it, and it's not that, it. So I don't want to say too much. Basically, guy rolls up on a gas station. There's a dead body. It's Carnival. He's headed to Recife, which is in the northern part of Brazil where he lives. And what you're treated to, in my opinion, is almost kind of a city movie. It's kind of a time
Mhm.
period. It's kind of a it's I started thinking about it sort of in terms of our good friend, the director of the upcoming Digger, Alejandro Iñárritu. It's not a hyperlink movie that like jumps from plot to plot to plot to plot to plot. We're pretty much with Wagner Moura for the duration, or like 80 to 90% of it. But it has that feeling that a movie like a Babel is trying to go for, where it's like it's about a place. It's about all of these different people all together and all of their stories and how they all mix with each other.
Mhm.
I think I said this to you, Cole. Like I was so frustrated at the end of this movie. Like I walked out and I was like, what the fuck was the plot of this? Like what happened? What about this plot line? What about that plot line? What about this? And I kind of came to the conclusion like it's a pile of loose ends. It's a pile of loose ends. Like it's a bunch of
Hmm.
stories that, I was saying this about sentimental value where it's like the plot ends, but life keeps going. This is like that times 100.
Hmm. I'll be honest, when I first read your text and then I
You thought I
saw
hated it or something.
I
Like
I saw like you I saw that and then I saw Morgan's review of a movie we'll be discussing in a little bit and I thought, God give me the strength. I'm gonna strangle both of them on this episode.
no, this wound up in my top three for the year. I loved this.
Fuck yeah.
It was I even when I was frustrated, I knew like gorgeously shot movie. Turns out this is digital, not 35 millimeter. Didn't know that. Looks like a 35 millimeter movie because they did that good of a job color
Hmm.
grading it.
Yeah.
Electrifying performances. Udo Kier's last performance before he passed away,
Ugh. It's
and
such a fucking turn. Oh my God.
like it's thunderous. You're the whole time edge of your seat. Some incredible horror imagery. Like if you saw Bacurau, one of the
There's a little
directors of
touch
that
of that
also
in here
directed this.
too.
Some squibs, stop motion sequence happens. That was fucking hilarious. Fucking hilarious. Out at the park where everybody's trying to get it on. This is a movie
Hmm.
of a lot of like blowjob happening in the corner of the movie theater or on the park bench. Like it's a very alive movie. It just feels like a place at a time.
The sense of community in this is really overwhelming.
I actually would compare it to One Battle After Another. I actually
I like
think
this
there's a
more
lot of
than one battle
similarity.
after another.
I do too. Ultimately, I had it fifth behind One Battle, moved it up, and then moved it up over sentimental value as well. I it's more real. The
Hmm.
background of it, the regime,
Yeah.
all of the lives caught in the mix of this era of violence just feel, it's a movie set in the 70s where we can look back and say this happened, this was real, and we haven't
Hmm.
it's similar in that way to it was just an accident.
Yeah. And
These
you
are
can
the stories that we haven't told before.
hmm and you can reflect on it and see how it applies to now. For example, they have their new president
Hmm.
and their former president that, fuck ass idiot is rotting in prison.
There's just
I'm
a lot
totally
of
not jealous of
clever,
them.
totally clever editing things. I assume this will make it onto a year-end thing, and maybe we'll be a little bit more at liberty to talk about
Oh, for sure.
what happens in it and like why it is the way that it is. But it's a movie that leaves you hanging on the edge of your seat and asking these questions and not always answering them. And you kind of run off the cliff like the Roadrunner, and it's like, oh fuck, where am I? What happened here? But it was only through reflecting that I really vibed with that I really
Hmm.
responded well to it. It some movies kind of sag in your estimation. This one,
Hmm.
and I rated it right. It was like I was pretty sure that I liked it. I was like, I think I like what this is going for. And then as I sat with it, I was like, yeah, that was really good. So
Hmm.
highly recommend that when it comes your way. We'll be excited. I think this is the movie, apart from sentimental value, most likely to field a serious acting nominee. Not that I think that
Yeah.
Mora would be the favorite, but I really think that, I mean, this is his movie, and
He
and he owns it.
he's so incredible in this.
Can
Behold,
I?
the only reason anyone ever gave a shit about Narcos.
Decent show. I mean, decent show. I didn't think that was terrible. It doesn't land the plane in terms of what it's about. And then you get to Narcos Mexico, and it's like, oh God, this is really bad. Tenoch Huerta though, hot, and that matters. That counts for something. Um, yeah. So catch this when you can, and I think I'll probably be rooting for Mora. I think he might be officially my favorite, assuming that the lead from No Other Choice, Lee Hyung-boon, does not get a nomination. This is probably my pick. This is probably my
He got
choice.
a Golden Globe nom, so
Which is
Yeah,
cool.
it's in play.
He's on
yeah,
the
But
radar.
yeah.
yeah,
The open question is how much does the Academy like Park Chan-wook?
so
Not
far,
as much as we do.
not a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah, but a lot has changed, so
yeah,
there's
for
always a
sure.
first time. But yeah, so I would definitely
And this is
recommend
very
this.
Parasite-y, even though I think it's more
Mhm.
hostile and caustic than Parasite.
Yeah. But I would absolutely recommend watching The Secret Agent when you can. I would also really recommend his documentary feature Pictures of Ghosts,
Yeah.
which you can stream now on the Criterion channel, which is about the movie theater palaces of Recife. And I think is actually honestly like essential. I don't want to say homework, but it's an addition. It's a
Yeah.
it's
Context.
essential context.
Yeah. Supplementary material. I have not seen that, but I really want to. I've wanted to, and then yeah, when you see this movie, you're like, oh, I see how that would all fold into that honestly, you mentioned that, and I'll just say it. I feel comfortable saying this. The movie has a movie theater as one of its central locations, and that movie theater in the present day no longer exists. And that right there is like, oh, that's what the movie's about. Like
Mm-hmm.
stories that are papered over, stories that fade out and we forget about them. Or maybe we don't forget about them, but they're not, the records of them aren't here anymore. They're lost to time. And that's the way the movie explores that is frustrating because it's so effective, because
Right.
it's so true, honest, and the way that things really are. I could honestly see this movie taking another step up and a step up because some of these things that I'm describing are like what I
Mm-hmm.
really love about the movie Zodiac, for instance, Double Fincher mentioned today. Where it's like we added up all the details and then we got nowhere. Fuck. Ah, love that. It's hard to pull that sort of thing off, and I think this movie does. I'm gonna speed through some of these. Do we have any rewatches to talk about?
Nope.
I don't
Not
think that I
really.
do. I do, of course, have rewatches to talk about, but they're part of other categories. I'll drop Some Like It Hot. I did go see that in movie theaters. Um, Excellent movie. I mean, it's fantastic. What an ending.
Nobody's
Um,
perfect except Billy
Some
Wilder.
might say the funniest movie ever made.
I wouldn't say that, but it's very good. Doesn't hit me that way, Lady Eve, I think, is like a funnier, just to pick a movie from that era
Okay,
kind of
well
thing.
now that's like a heavyweight showdown.
Yeah, just funnier. I think the heart of this one really gets it. Jack Lemmon, Tony Curtis is hard to beat that as a duo. Like those
Mm-hmm.
guys just never
Yeah,
less than sublime.
yeah. Jack Lemmon's utter joy at being in drag must have felt like such a radical shock in 1959.
Oh, totally. And then the way that they play it, like they don't play it
Mm-hmm.
like it's just a pure joke. Like it ultimately has this heart and tenderness to it that I think is why the movie holds up so well now. Why people are so responsive to it. Because I think it would be funny if it was, I think it would still be a well-regarded movie if all it was funny, but it's the way that that happens that seals the deal. Um, I'll just briefly talk a project thing. I assume I might be the only one to have that, but I will continue my book club items because I did see the 30th anniversary re-release of Ang Lee's Sense and Sensibility. I did that right after we recorded our last episode of the podcast, so I just read that book. Um, I actually, as I was reading it, I was like, I don't remember if I've read this before. I've definitely read Pride and Prejudice, and I've definitely read Emma by Jane Austen. But as I was
Mm-hmm.
reading that, I was like, I know the plot of this from the movie, but I don't know that I ever went through this before. Good book. She's not my favorite author. Very, high school boy mentality. The first time that I ever read Pride and Prejudice. I love Emma because I think one, Clueless helps, right? I've loved Clueless my whole life, and I've known that story my whole life. So I kind of knew the story of Emma when I was reading it. And Austen is such an impactful ironist, and that story is so funny. Like compared to these other ones that are a little bit more conventional, or it's about Elizabeth Bennet and Mr. Darcy, and they're gonna love each other forever. Funny book, Pride and Prejudice, funny movie too. But Emma is a comedy. Like Emma is withering satire. It's so Sense and Sensibility is totally on the other side of that. It's so much more sincere. Everything is built around this character of Eleanor, who is the older sister, and she's very demure, and she never really says what she's truly feeling. And I bring that up. I just say all that to say that I think that Ang Lee and Emma Thompson, who wrote the script and performs Eleanor, ups the ante so much on how that character operates because you watch it. You see the the small fault lines and the breaks in her face in her performance where she's upset about something and then chooses to be very level-headed about that. It's also got our very own Rose from Titanic as the younger sister Marianne, Kate Blanchett. No, not Kate. See, Jack Black did this, and he has me fucked up. Kate Winslet. He literally did the same thing, talking about the movie The Holiday. And I saw that clip, and I was like, "How could you ever fuck up Kate Blanchett and Kate Winslet?" Well, I just did it, so there you go. Kate Winslet, um,
I should
Hugh
watch The
Laurie.
Holiday again.
Hugh Laurie plays. Well, Hugh Laurie's a minor role. Hugh Grant is in a more major role. See, mix another the Hugh and Hugh. Although at least they're both in this film. Um, and then yeah, just a good cast, solid movie. I think it starts off really strong, and then you realize that you're watching a 400-page book adapted into a 2+ hour movie, and it just kind of loses some steam for me. I also think there are other characters outside of Eleanor who are not improved as much from the book to the screen. So some of those things start to kind of fall off. Certain love interest characters where it's like, yeah, this is all kind of a test run for Pride and Prejudice, which is just, I think, an all-around stronger story. Stronger romance, better characters. You don't have these two sisters. It's kind of all combined into Elizabeth's, she's kind of the free spirit and the main character, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, Jane Austen. I like her a lot more than I used to. So that's growth right there. That's improvement. So, outside of that, anybody got any 5-star stuff to talk about? I do not myself.
Just the
I
main
do.
event.
Yeah. I do have one thing I want to talk about that's not a movie,
Okay.
but a trailer.
Okay.
Have we all seen this trailer?
I don't know what you're referring to.
Not at all, huh? Nothing with a big
Mm,
horse.
no, I didn't see it.
No, I didn't get it.
You
No, and
guys,
I'm glad. I'm glad that
Got
I
you
didn't.
guys didn't get it.
I didn't want to.
got the fucking Doomsday clip, but
I also got the Doomsday clip. I didn't even, it's funny when you said trailer, my head did not go, oh, Avengers at all. But I
Yeah.
guess I knew that that's not what you would be talking about.
Why the fuck would I talk about that?
Of course, you wouldn't. No, I did not see the Odyssey prologue, and I am personally happy that I did not. I don't, I don't want to see that movie until I'm watching that movie. Like
oh,
a trailer is a trailer,
Mhm.
but like a 10-minute clip or whatever, I don't want to see no fucking 10-minute clip. I probably would have
I
gone to the bathroom.
I didn't see it in IMAX, so that's probably what that is.
I actually didn't either. I saw this in Dolby. Well, I saw Avatar in Dolby, I should say.
But yeah, no, so I saw the 5 minute prologue for the
Oh,
Odyssey.
five's not that bad. I was thinking it was like 8 to
And
10.
oh yeah, well, no, it would never be that much.
I've seen the 2.5 hour prologue to the Odyssey. It's called Troy.
Ooh,
Tough,
no bueno.
tough sip.
Yeah.
And all right, so to keep you guys safe, I won't spoil too much, but
Well, I mean, they win the Trojan War and then they go home. Achilles
woo,
is
this
dead.
movie looks fucking sick. I
Yeah, I'm
can't
really
fucking
excited.
wait.
I'm excited. I've
The
heard that
shit,
the prologue was pretty Dunkirky.
yes, so Dunkirky. The score sounds like nothing I've heard in a Nolan movie before.
Is it Ludwig?
I'm pretty sure it's Ludwig.
Okay.
It feels very ancient and mythical.
Hell
The
yeah.
action's great. Agamemnon pulls up looking like Darth Vader. I am
Who,
so fucking
who's Agamemnon?
Benny, isn't it?
I think it's Benny, yeah.
Benny Safdie. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Nice. Yeah, I'm very excited. I'll probably
Yeah.
try to reread. See, this is the fucked up thing because there's part of me that's like, I should reread the Odyssey, right? I own multiple editions of the Odyssey because of course I
Mhm.
do. Um, and I have one that I haven't read yet, and so it's like, oh yeah, that'll be really like the Anna Wilson and Emily Wilson.
I think that's Nolan's favorite translation, actually.
It's
So
new. It's very contemporary. It's almost like I read if Emily Wilson did some translations of Seneca, the Roman playwright, and I was reading them, and they are very like rhythmic and interesting and fun to read. And then there will be these moments where she drops a word choice, and you're like, huh? I don't know that I would have gone with that. So I wouldn't really claim her as a personal favorite, but I'm really intrigued. The problem is, I don't know how the fuck you read the Odyssey without going all the way. Am I committing myself to reading the whole damn thing, Iliad and Odyssey both? Where's the Nolan Iliad movie? Can I put a gun to his head and make him make an Iliad movie after this? Is that on the table? Like, can we talk about it?
I mean, that sounds like the kind of time fuckery shit he would do,
I
honestly.
imagine that we will see some, and you don't have to get into this if the prologue is there. I imagine we will see some King Priam, some Achilles, some Trojan horse, like time fuckery, memory fuckery. Like it'll happen.
Yeah.
It'll happen. So
You might not be able to tell, but I'm winking for the mask.
yes, I can see. So yeah,
The spinal cord on the helmet on the poster goes
Hmm.
fucking ballistic.
that dude loves the color blue so much.
It's like somebody else we know.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So we want to get into that. We want to get into the
We're
Sullys
here.
and the
Let's do it.
Navis and the
Oh, it's
Pandoras.
Let's go.
he has it. He got that shit on.
uh,
2009. One man came to destroy celluloid projection at the movie theaters as we know it. His name was James Cameron. We've been living through the DCP era ever since. Avatar. I'll have some more notes. I kind of felt like I was gonna talk about this before we talked about Avatar, although it makes sense not to. Um, I've got some more mocap notes about our guy Robert Zemeckis here in a second. So this is like the cutting edge, the bleeding edge of mocap. But you know that, Avatar's been around for that was the year I graduated high school, so it's been around for a while now. And obviously, we had Way of Water back in 2022, the grand return. I had the dates wrong in my head. What was that, 13 years you said? 13, 15? Over a
13
decade.
year 13-year gap.
Huge, huge gap. I mean, like that's similar to like Incredibles 2, just that long gestating,
Hmm.
which I bring up just to say like it's only been 3 years since that one. Although it's kind of interesting that it's even been 3 years. I kind of feel like this gap thing is a weird one for them, where it's like this movie was in the can. I assume it takes a long time to do the
It
post
was
stuff.
it was supposed to come out last December, so it was going to be an even shorter gap.
I feel like a shorter in lieu of having a big long gap that allows you to kind of be like, all right, we're going back now after a long time. Having a shorter gap might have been ideal here. 3 years it just felt a little awkward. Like this is enough time to build up anticipation. None was really built up, in my opinion. At least not. I didn't have any anticipation for it. I was like, oh, I guess it's Avatar year. It's here. It's happening. Ah.
I mean, I was excited, but I'm always going to be in the can for this kind of thing.
But did you feel like they did anything to stoke that fire? Do you feel like there was much of a push here?
No,
Because I really don't.
I do think they let the flames burn by themselves.
Mm, yeah, and maybe that's appropriate, right? These both of them made 2 billion a piece, so maybe you just walk into it thinking like Avatar 3 is going to make $1 billion, but I don't
Hmm.
know. We'll see. How's it tracking? I guess I haven't looked into that stuff yet for
It's
this one.
so we're reaching the interesting stage now where the gaps in between are going to be shorter.
Yep.
Like, so it's acting like a normal franchise now.
Yeah,
So it's
that's
lower
kind of
than
what I
Way
wrote
of
about.
Water, but it's going to be interesting to see how that legs out over the holidays and whatnot. Because we could say, oh, this movie could make it to like 1.7 billion, and would that be a letdown? It would be insane for any other franchise to talk about 1.7 billion dollars being a letdown.
For sure. Absolutely.
But when the height has been set so astronomically high
And it's
by the last two, and
it's
by
not
the
just
first one being
expectations either. It's not
literally the highest grossing of all time.
James Cameron prior to Way of Water's success said this movie has to make 2 billion for us to break even. In order for us to like I don't think he said break even. I think he said to make a profit because I think the budget on this was like 400 million. So we are in a
Yeah.
state where it's like it's not just that it's a disappointment. It's like no, we gotta similar to the mocap thing that I was hinting at. These things get fucking expensive. And if we don't hit certain numbers, then as
Mm-hmm.
Cameron said, this business model may be dead. And I think that leads us into so I wrote about this. This is the most franchise Avatar movie so far.
Yeah.
2009,
This is the one
you
for the
can't compare it to
fans.
2009, you can't compare it to anything. It's
Mm-hmm.
brand new. Yes, there are these narrative comparisons, but in terms of the movie and its success, it doesn't have an ancestor that we
Yeah.
Titanic is its ancestor. The Abyss
Mm-hmm.
is its ancestor, right?
Yeah.
However you want to break all that out. Terminator 2.
Yeah.
It's a James Cameron mega blockbuster. No real precedent for it. Then it gets a sequel And the sequel is still a James Cameron mega blockbuster. It's been, 50 years,
Hmm.
84 years in between the two of them. Now this one feels like Morgan, don't hit
Most
me. Don't hit me. And Cole, don't hit me when I pivot off of this one. This feels the most like a Last Crusade, or God help me, like a Rise of Skywalker. Like or Return of the Jedi, if we want to be nicer.
I was
Like,
gonna say this is like Return of the Jedi. This is at
you had a
World's
good one.
End.
Yep. It's
This is Matrix Revolutions.
no, it's not. Get that out of here. Get that out of here. No, I can see it. I can see that. Where it is like the second part to the grandiose. I could definitely see a Reloaded Revolutions kind of thing. See like that softens my heart a little bit because like the Matrix kind of is my Star Wars. Even though Star Wars is my Star Wars, the
Hmm.
Matrix is kind of my Star Wars. So I'm like, yeah, okay, all right, I
Yeah,
see that.
yes, there. So we both have our own like non-Star Wars Star Wars things.
Idiosyncratic, but suddenly I find myself thinking more about MCU type of questions. Okay, what's the next? What's the plan?
Hmm.
Where are we going? Where's this all building to?
Yeah,
Is there gonna be a fourth one? I don't know. I don't know if James Cameron knows.
I don't know if
that's
James
the.
Cameron wants to make a fourth one at this point.
I
This,
don't blame him.
yeah,
I mean, if
I,
he wraps it up here, then it's satisfying enough as a trilogy, as odd as it is.
each one
It,
of them is a satisfying ending
I
in their
agree.
own
Yeah,
way.
that's the thing. They're all like satisfying on their own.
Way of
This
Water,
one is the least satisfying by a considerable margin, but it works.
This is
Way
my
of
least
Water has
favorite,
a
admittedly, but
hard sting at the end to be like Hayakon will return kind of thing,
mhm,
but it does come to a concluding point of like we've moved to the new place, we love our family,
mhm,
but you still have so many loose ends hanging out there, and this is the same. So it's kind of a we could pick it up or put it down. This
yeah,
felt like not we could pick it up or put it down. It's like we need to put down as many of these things as we can just in case we don't get to come back here,
yeah,
which I have applauded that in one area of my life, which was the first, not like the first, but like every season of Mad Men before the final season had a season finale that could have also been the series finale, the Carousel season one. That could be the end of that show. End of season three, shut the door, take a seat. That could be the season finale. Season six season finale, in my opinion, could have been an all-timer series finale. And then, but so every time that they ended a season, they did it on an episode that could have closed the whole show. So they
uh-huh,
have seven great finales, in my opinion. And that worked out really well for them. In this case, it's just kind of like I don't know if you're giving me a middle chapter or if you're giving me the concluding chapter or if you're giving me what you're giving me. I feel like it's the first time ever, like ever, I have watched a James Cameron movie and felt that feeling in my
yeah,
life.
yeah. And he's never gone this deep on a franchise before, you know.
No,
He
yeah.
does the first film, he does the sequel, and that's
Two
it.
Terminators, one Alien sequel,
Hmm.
no Titanic sequels.
Although they
Fancy
pitched
that.
a fucking million of those, of course.
Titanic's dollar sign at the end.
I think all three of us consider Fire and Ash to be the worst Avatar movie, which I was not. I thought, oh well, the bar has to be higher than the first one. The bar has to be
Mhm.
now in this zone. And I think
Although,
if I were to list out my criticisms of the original Avatar, they would largely revolve around the lead of Sam Worthington not being particularly great. It would revolve around the simplicity of the story with like how extra it is. Like it's not like uh, Cole, when you did your rewatch, I brought up The Force Awakens. I think we hemmed and
mhm,
hawed over that last episode. Force
yeah,
Awakens is a bullet. That movie is so fucking fast. You don't even know what happened. Avatar is not like that, and it shouldn't be like that. I'm not saying it should be like that, but I'm
mhm.
speaking to why one really simple movie like a Gravity, right? Alejandro, or not Alejandro,
Alfonso.
Alfonso Cuarón.
Cuarón's,
Alfonso Cuarón's Gravity. Movie I love. Simple,
yeah,
clean, fast,
perfect.
right? Doesn't need a whole bunch of bells and whistles. Avatar has a whole bunch of bells and whistles, but the story is, it's a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. It's like thing, 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 thing.
Yeah.
This is not that. That's not the problem here.
This moves fast, and
It
it's
moves
got
fast
a
and it moves
lot
through
going
a lot of
on.
stuff.
There's a lot of stuff going on in this movie.
The Verbinski Pirates comp has maybe been my favorite because I know that there are other blockbusters that do this. Probably like Harry Potter's or something is like what I'm not thinking about, where it's just like, man, you fucking put everything in this one. Like,
Yeah. But I think what this has in common with like at World's End or whatever is just like the astronomical scale of what's going on, because there's moments in this where I'm like, oh, this is my favorite one in the series. For example, the attack on the air nomads, or you have that
goddamn,
trippy
goddamn air
S&M.
nomads. He really is just making Avatar the Last Airbender.
And you know what? Good for him.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough, right?
It seems more respectful than whatever the fuck Netflix is doing.
Yeah.
The lowest of bars.
Mm.
Or you've got like that trippy S&M drug trip scene between Cordridge and the new big baddie of this movie, Varang.
She's
Who?
not really that big of a baddie though.
Yeah, like she goes missing for because again, I think like compared to Way of Water, insanely patient movie. Okay, we're gonna
Yeah.
establish the humans are back. This is where the Sullys are at now. They've got the family. Now we're gonna move everybody and we're gonna get used to this new culture, new environment, new
Hmm.
creatures. So patient. Like the movie barely even needs to get back to the plot because you're so integrated in the family in this new place. And so
Yeah.
now we're going to a new place and we don't have any of that. Like none of that is what this is. We're not spending time. We don't. There's really not that much like Sully stuff in this, even though they're in the movie the entire time. It's like
Hmm.
I don't know. And
And,
I get it. I'm not saying that it should have just been Way of Water 2.0, although it is Way of
It
Water 2.0
was.
in some way.
it is. And that comes from this original script for Way of Water being so big that they split it in half.
Right. But yeah, it didn't hit those grace notes that really made that movie work for me. You know, that's like a 3 hour movie where my favorite parts of it are just like doing imaginary world documentary ocean. You know, you can almost
Hmm.
hear David Attenborough being like the majestic Tulkun. You know, like I don't know why I went Herzog with that, but
Yeah.
whatever.
I,
Morgan,
I,
you've been quiet.
I, I really don't have much to say. This is the last one of these I'm checking in for. It's clear to me that Cameron just does not prioritize what I would prioritize in this series, which he
Mhm.
prioritized in the second one, which is, some character enrichment, really diving into the world that he's
Mhm.
building here, being
Yeah.
patient with it, and delivering like fucking barn burning action sequences. This has one of those. And that really Way of Water only had one of those. So that's not an issue,
Mhm.
really.
Are you talking about the air raid at the beginning?
Yeah, I think the third
Mhm.
act of this movie sucks. Um
I liked it.
it's just the Way of Water set piece, except they're on floating rocks now. I don't know. I'm getting ahead of myself. This is an absolute mess of a film. The immense patient focus of Way of Water has been abandoned completely because we need to wrap up this and we need to start this and we need to wrap up this here. And we're gonna do 20 minutes on this new Varang lady where she's gonna blow the booger sugar up Quaritch's nose. And then we're gonna forget about her so it can be Quaritch's story again. But he's gonna like gesture at having like a redemption arc the whole time, but instead he's gonna be like, nah, I'm gonna jump into the hole. Spoilers, I guess, but fuck you. Um, he's like, no, I don't need to be redeemed. Fuck you. Goodbye. I'll show up in the fourth one if that exists because we just can't not bring him back.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm sure that if they do make 4 and 5, then we will hit that point. But yeah, it feels like they're definitely teasing the beginning of something and not
just like
going more with
start
it.
it already.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. Stop trying to salvage the material. Maybe they shot a lot of it, and that's why they wanted to keep some of the things from the script or whatever. But it's like, yeah, just start a new page. Like, you know, that's all done. Yeah, you had to split it in half. There are these threads of ideas. But I feel like part of it is a lack of commitment to saying after three, there will be four and there will be five. It will be a five-part story. So the third part is like this middle transition piece that gets you from here to here to here and
Hmm.
introduces these things and blah blah blah. It's hard. We've talked about this. It's hard. My mind goes to George R. R. Martin and Game of Thrones, right? Where it's like he got to an obvious point to like contract the story, and then it got bigger on him. And then how do we
Hmm.
adapt this? How do we take it? Because there was never George R. R. Martin had a game plan when he started, but the game plan of those was to be it was to be a trilogy, right? That didn't fucking happen. Like that went out the window by book two. Like it just completely changed what the plan was. I think the world is better off because that happened. It's better off because George R. R. Martin got off track. And even if that series never reaches the conclusion that people want it to, it's better because he went in the direction he felt driven to go down, as
Hmm.
opposed to sticking to a rubric. J.J. Abrams, stick to the fucking rubric. James Cameron, cook a little bit. This feels caught in the middle of you cooked a little bit last time. Now you feel like you got to go back to the rubric and like, where are we at? And I was almost depressed by how much it felt like not focus grouped or workshopped per se. I don't feel like this lacks personality the way a focus group movie can, but it
Yeah.
just felt so fucking franchisey in a way that these haven't yet.
Mhm. Yeah, it
And
does
made
feel
me, I guess,
caught in between itself at points.
it's not that it feels franchisey, it's that I spent my time instead of being like, wow, Pandora, I spent my time thinking about like where's this going and what chapters like I'm thinking about the inside baseball stuff I don't want to be thinking about when I watch an Avatar movie. I want to
Hmm.
be
No,
and
I
that's a personal issue, but
well, I should be focused on how incredibly these effects are because they've worked
yeah.
slavishly on this and spent hundreds of way irresponsible amounts of money on this. And it's just so much plot. It's all plot. And the plot of these movies is notoriously boring. So just, what are we doing? I had the thought of like during that first like air raider sequence,
Hmm.
or fire raiders, I guess.
The fucking
Um,
kamikaze Navi
yeah,
is
I
so
was like,
fucking
dude, if
cool.
this just turns into Avatar, Fire and Ash Fury Road, then this is the best one of these. And it
Yeah.
decided to not do that. It's like, no, we have to do Quaritch for the third time. We brought him back needlessly for the second one. We made that work. That was a cool hat magic trick. Third time, no, I'm over it. It's done. He's wrapped. Either do something or wrap it up. I don't know. It's the disappointment of the year for me. I wasn't like over the moon excited because I don't like one at all. I really like two, so it could have gone either way. But this is
Mm.
just like a failure for me that I could not have predicted in that it is a complete half measure.
I think it still works on we compare if you compare it to the Pirates movies, I think it's better than those. Like I think it still works better than those. Like it's still got better blockbuster filmmaking. Although I've spent a good portion of this year expressing a long-standing emotion that I feel conflicted about because I like both. I like all three Avatar movies. Like I enjoy all three of these to some
Hmm.
extent. I would take I like, it's a really cheap, shitty thing to be like, this movie, The Secret Agent, is $5 million. It's filmed in Sao Paulo. Of course it's fucking cheap, right? It's not LA, right? We're not filming
Hmm.
it in place. It's kind of like how they filmed The Brutalist in Budapest. And so it's cheap because you filmed it in Budapest,
Hmm.
right? So not every movie is going to be like that. I sincerely would trade any Avatar movie, including Way of Water, for like 50 secret agents every day of the week. As good as Avatar, The Way of Water is. And I'm not really wishing it out of existence. It's the budget, it's the fact that this just to me, this terrain of filmmaking is not interesting. You are not going to discover anything. You might conjure a cool magic trick. You might make something spectacular, but you're never going to find something. You're never going to explore something. You're never going to open my mind in the way that you can take a camera, go out into the real fucking world and shoot
Hmm.
a road, shoot a car, shoot the ocean, shoot a bird, like a real fucking bird on real camera. It's a real image. And yeah, I'll have a little bit more to say about this, but I just think, there's a place for artifice in cinema. Our main topic is Eyes Wide Shut. Very famously, they did the recreations in New York, and it's got the rear projection. The illusion part of cinema matters, but I just think this is a little bit too much sizzle, not enough steak. Not
Well,
not narratively, visually.
I'll put it like this. The idea of watching any of these movies out of theaters sounds like homework to me. Even Way of Water, which I like to like a fair bit. I would there's zero doubt in my mind if I watched that on my TV, I would drop it by a half a star. Just because I can't be enveloped in the whole thing. And that's fine. But the best experience I had with a movie this year is watching Amadeus on a plane.
Mhm.
So
Yes, on a plane is crazy.
it is a
I love
14-hour plane ride. I've got to do something. But my point is, I just think if you
Mhm.
fall off that much by not being in your most number one premium format,
Yeah.
it's just not worth a whole lot to me in the long run.
I would throw out, although it doesn't have my same about the digital mocap stuff, but I would say that, a movie that I've picked on a lot, like Top Gun Maverick. I don't think
Mhm.
Yeah,
what's the value of a Top Gun Maverick if you're watching it on like a small screen and it's
I
not
have the
like
four. I have the 4K. I haven't popped it in yet.
yeah, I'm
I
sure
will.
that it looks good.
I will someday. I'll have a good time with it.
Yeah,
But again, it'll probably drop by half a star.
yeah,
I'll admit that this is maybe something that I don't take into consideration too much because I do consider a big screen the
yeah,
ultimate method of seeing a movie. That is what
totally.
movies are for.
Without
That is what they are made
if
for.
this, I think this about it was just an accident. So
Totally.
it
Mhm.
was like
Right.
this is
See
always a
that?
thing. But if it,
Hmm.
I'm not going to think less of it was just an accident if I watch it at home.
Hmm. Yeah.
I think
And
that there are a lot of movies that are considerate of format. Few of them, and this is basically what we talked about when we talked about the first two Avatar movies back in 22. Few
hmm
movies are as considerate of theatrical format as these, and I think that there's good value in that, especially in the days of Netflix threatening, you know, theatrical distribution as we know it, basically.
hmm
There's value in that.
yeah.
But it definitely, yeah, I've seen Way of Water twice, both times in theaters. Well, the third time I see it would probably be in theaters, right? It
Yeah.
would be like a theatrical re-release of the film, and that's when I watched it. I don't own it. I don't think that movie would suffer as much just because there's a lot of stuff I like in it. But yeah, I it there's definitely a gap there for sure.
hmm
I think
and
there's
I
a
just
gap with Titanic. I think there's a gap with
oh yeah, I
any
mean
movie, but like
the best viewing I had of Titanic was in 35 millimeters at the Egyptian.
100%. 100%. The duration of it, I'm not getting up to go pee. Well, you can get up to go pee, but you're not getting up to like go make a bowl of ice cream or something. Like
Yeah, I mean, like for this one, Cameron said, you can go pee whenever. I don't give a fuck.
I do, that is one of his greatest lifetime takes is just this movie's long. When did I stand the fuck up and go to the bathroom, weirdo?
It's fine.
It's there's not a test at the end. Like you're okay. You're gonna do fine. Yeah, you might miss something critical, but probably
Hmm.
not. I mean, like it takes 3 minutes max if you're really slow,
Yeah. But
and
yeah, no,
there's 200 of them to spare.
I had a great time with this movie. It's my least favorite of the three, but you got to remember how high I am on these. Cameron's just a filmmaker that gets my blockbuster sensibilities. Like, if I was making $400 million movies, this is the kind of shit I would be doing. Maybe not exactly this, but like if I
Yeah, I
had that
mean,
unlimited palette.
it would be way, way different aesthetically. There would be way more mechs in mine. But
Yeah.
in theory, yes.
Yeah. But yeah, loved Una Chaplin. Need to see more of her. I really loved her S&M sex scene between her and Gortridge where she drugs him and is like, "You want to be my slave?"
It's really deeply underutilized by the picture.
Yeah.
Especially because it's like she's like on
Agreed.
all the posters where
Yeah.
she's like, this is the new villain.
And I think that honestly, she's like one of the first actors in this movie in the series since Saldana that really knows how to create an entire character from a completely different world, completely different species, and make it feel genuine.
Mm.
Those are the two that are the most animated, and these are animated people.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
it would have behooved them in 2009 to not cast Sam fucking Worthington.
Yeah. Although he
I
has improved. He's
Yeah, he's
improved.
better.
He's
Yeah.
definitely better in
Yeah.
two.
Yeah. And
And
he's good in this.
They lean hard into the family dynamic of two and the kind of like, I'm just trying to fucking figure my shit out, but I don't even
Hmm.
feel like that. There's such an there's such a concern and an urgency that drives Way of Water about like, oh, my family's in danger, gone.
Hmm.
yeah,
Like you literally one of your kids died and
I
that's gone.
I do really like the scene though where he and the Terry are arguing and he's like, there's like a little bit of hatred in her because her kids are half sky people.
Yeah.
And it's like that's an interesting dynamic to think about.
Hmm.
I was like, yeah, they. I also agree that they should kill Spider. I'm
Yeah.
I
tired
honestly
of it.
thought they were going to.
That was the whole problem with that scene for me is that I was never for a second under suspicion that they would. Cameron's too soft for that.
Mm.
Binding of Isaac moment.
Well, I'm gonna pivot. We're gonna go quick. We're gonna talk about some Christmas stuff. I don't know if have you guys watched any Christmas things apart from the main event here? Have you been
Nope.
in the spirit in the season? I've been
I
a
I,
little bit,
I have
which
not been in the mood this year,
so
honestly.
I was doing sound work like gigging at Christmas concerts. So I heard, God rest you merry gentlemen like 50 times. And I think that must have helped because I'm not really much of a it's not that I don't like Christmas or that I don't love Christmas. But it's not like, I don't usually like go over the top for it. I don't even think I don't have a tree right now, for instance. I do have a big wreath on my door though. Um,
Mm.
so it's just kind of in the mood. So I had been intending to watch this, not like, oh, I need to get back to this, but every year I see people log that Charlie Brown Christmas special, right? And that was kind of like an annual thing, but I've never owned a copy of it, so I finally popped that in and rewatched that this year. Quality stuff. I think, I was kind of talking about Some Like It Hot and how yes, this has these qualities that are good, they're funny, and that's what's gonna help it, be successful. But then it has this other quality that keeps it enduring, and I feel like that's the key with the Charlie Brown thing. People forget how fucking morose this movie is. It's like a morose, melancholy, that starts off and Charlie Brown's just like standing in the snow, like, I'm fucking depressed, guys. Why don't I feel the spirit of the season? This is fucked. I'm 8 years old, and that's, and it's about commercialism. You remember what it's all about. But you might have this memory in your head of like, oh yeah, they're all dancing on the stage and they get the Christmas tree and they sing a song. But it's got a kind of mood to it that I think sings more the older that you get. The more old and cynical and disillusioned you feel, the more bored that you might feel. The more that I think the emotional tenor of that movie really starts to click. It's also
Mm.
interesting because I don't think I've watched another Peanuts thing in like 20 years besides that one. That's like the only one that, because it's like a holiday thing and you might
Hmm.
revisit it here and there. So just kind of an interesting going back. Didn't they just sell the Peanuts for like $500 million or something?
They
Yeah,
did,
to
yeah.
Sony,
Whatever that means.
probably more peanut stuff. I mean, because they've been owned by Apple for the last couple of years, and Apple's been regularly putting out
Yeah.
like new Peanuts TV shows and whatnot.
Mm. I haven't heard too much about it. I know that there was like an animated movie not too far back, but
There's
That
all
that
of
like
was
it,
there's
literally
been
10
like
years
a
ago.
yeah.
there's been a slavish devotion to like Schultz's art style. Like Apple made them go to school for it basically before they could ever animate anything.
Yeah,
Hmm.
Um,
and that's cool.
yeah, and it's just like I don't know how much cultural crossover Peanuts is gonna have in 2025 anyway.
I
It
mean, Snoopy is going to outlive all of us.
I
Yeah,
get
but
what you mean though, because
it's a steady. There are no peaks or valleys here. It is a steady
right.
movement for that.
And in terms of like the characters and everything, even just watching it again, I think that special's probably from the 60s. The characters obviously hail from the
Yeah,
50s. So it's like
65.
even for me, those were like 30-year-old characters by the time I was a kid, right? So we were already kind of like, yeah, this is very like retro. This is very classical,
Hmm.
even back then. Um,
It's a better album than it is a movie.
Great album.
Yeah, I'm cooler on it than I find a lot of people are, but I think, it's nostalgia and that kind of I say nostalgia and you could almost take it to mean like I'm saying you don't love that movie, you're just nostalgic for it. I'm not trying to denigrate. Nostalgia's cool. We all like nostalgia, but that's I think that's where a lot of like the over the top love of that one comes from. I definitely have some fond memories of it, and I do think that there are some adult characteristics. To use that as the pivot to the movie that's up here, I read Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol. Wonderful book. I mean, you know that story like the back of your hand. If you haven't read that before or read it in a while, leaf through that sucker. Like it's nothing that you don't know is there, but the way that he casts the spell in that book is pretty magical. Like the characterization, the time and the place, the feeling of warmth, the feeling of despair, the feeling of regret and redemption, magical. I mean, truly a magical read, better than any movie version of it I've seen by a long shot. Which I guess is my segue. So rewatched The Muppets. I rewatched two. I'm going to save the other one for a second. I'll talk about The Muppets first. I don't have any nostalgia for this Muppet Christmas Carol movie, like none. I definitely saw it when I was a kid, but it wasn't like a staple. It wasn't like a year over year, thing to where like it built up a tradition. So honestly, as I was watching it, I was like, I remember this, but it's not like a very clear, like, oh yeah, and then here's this part, here's this part, here's this joke, and here's that joke. I know, Cole, this is like a big favorite for you, so I assume that it's been like an annual thing for a while. Is there anything about it that like
Yeah,
this is what does it?
I mean, honestly, it's just tradition at this point. It's been a Christmas Eve staple for a long, 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 long time.
Mhm. Everybody goes for Michael Caine. I kind of think this is the first Muppet movie with no Jim Henson. Died in 90. This is in 92.
Hmm.
And it's the first Muppet movie. So before that you got the Muppet movie. You got the Caper and you got Muppets Take Manhattan.
And
Then this is the first one where there's like a human character at the center of it. I don't really like that choice. And I realize that could come across as real sacrilegious because Michael Caine is
is
giving one of
really
the
fucking good.
best performances of his career in some scenes of this. He's very, very good. But I feel like there's this always a tension. And I think for people that love this movie, you must find that, like, no, the fact that he's giving such a dramatic turn and it's such an earnest Dickens adaptation, and then there's also Ratso doing riffs on top of it is like a good combination. Whereas I'm like, I need you to steer this boat in one direction or the other. I
It
do
goes
like what
down
he's
real easy for me.
I do like what he's doing more than I like what Tim Curry is doing in the Muppet Treasure Island movie, which is acting like a Muppet himself. Like he is just as over the top as they are. And
That's just Tim Curry.
I don't think that works as well as the contrast. Although I find that the contrast is at its best in the first half an hour when Scrooge is still an asshole and
Mhm.
he's like chucking Muppets out the door and like just being a dick to them. I think in one way and I would probably have pushed this movie closer to like an Emperor's New Groove type of tone. Like just be more silly, be more irreverent, be more over the top in terms of like making gags. Because to me, if I was Michael Caine and like I'm a financier in a world of Muppets, I'm probably angry and cynical too because I'm like, what the fuck? My clerk is a puppet frog. Fuck this. Like they're just also like goofy and da 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 that you can imagine why he would be like this like cold, withering, eye roll, ironic kind of person.
Mhm.
And then the stuff that does not really work for me is where he's over at the Cratchit's house, like lovingly watch them do Muppet thing. So you just watch this like silly ass Muppet thing, and then it's like his face, and he looks so like moved, and you're like, what is happening here? This is such a tonal crash of the wave that just doesn't really. I don't know. I like it. Every time that they sing a musical number, I'm like, please stop doing that. I know that the Muppets love to sing, so maybe I'm being a little anti-Muppet with that
I
take, but
like
I don't
this.
think
I like the songs. They're not
uh,
the best in the world, but I like them.
I like the Ghost of Christmas Present song, and I think that's also my favorite part of the movie, where he's like,
Mm,
that's an original Muppet. He's like got like a Dory memory loss kind of thing happening. He like
yeah.
ages over the course of the day, so his hair goes from like bright red to like gray white. No ignorance and want, which is a bad creative choice. Like that's not good. That's not what you want to see out of
I
a Christmas
just
Carol adaptation.
yeah, although I don't know how they would have done it, honestly.
Nah, it would have been like a sudden turn for the dramatically intense in the middle of this kids movie for
Hmm.
sure. And like the social elements of it, right?
Unless it was like, the pigs in space people or something.
So that's where I do think a lot of children's adaptations of this story kind of get it wrong. Is you're like, wow, mean old Scrooge. And it's like, no, you are Scrooge. Like when you're reading it, you are Scrooge. You are this guy. You are this person. He is his own guy with his own concerns and his own values. But like if you watch an adaptation of A Christmas Carol and your takeaway is like Scrooge is a bastard and not holy shit, I need to change my life, then it hasn't worked. Like the alchemy of the story is not there. That's why the Alistair Sim one to me
Hmm.
is probably the canonical because his version of Scrooge, you watch it and you're like, that's me. I see myself in this person. I see how I need to grow. I see how I need to take lessons from this story because like that's the kind of story that it is.
Yeah,
So
that's why Dakota Johnson watches it in Madame Web.
Madame Web. Put a little
Ma-
sauce on that.
Madame. So then I also watched, and I'm planning to watch the George C. Scott one, which I've never seen. I didn't get to it because we had a bunch of long movies I was catching up with before this.
Just nuclear level casting. I don't know if that
I,
movie's
I've
good, but
I've seen
I've
bits and
heard it's good.
pieces. He's faultless casting. It's perfect.
yeah.
Yeah, I've heard really good things. Um, movie I've not heard really good things about is the 2009, shouts to Avatar, A Christmas Carol, directed by Robert Zemeckis, starring Jim
One
Carrey.
of the worst movies of all time.
It's not good. You know what's interesting revisiting this? So I saw this maybe in theaters or it might have been after.
I
We've all
definitely
seen
saw this
Polar
in theaters.
Express. Polar Express
Unfortunately,
was like a big thing. It still is. I think Polar Express is enjoying a nice afterlife of like Gen Z kids watched me when they were young and now it's a holiday
okay.
classic or whatever. Both equally haunting and horrible. Image Movers, Monster House. That's like the best thing they probably ever put together in terms of an animated movie because that movie's got like, Cole or Morgan. I know that you've seen it. We've seen it together, I think.
Mm,
Ugly character designs, right?
yeah.
But like, yeah, it's like a horror movie. It's not like a horror movie. It's like a kids movie, but it's like spooky, right? So there's like a stylized sense in that movie that kind of makes it work. In this. I guess I mean there's like ghosts, and in theory, but like, oh my God. Like the way that the Gary Oldman Jacob Marley looks and acts and moves, horrible. I mean, this was born of Zemeckis reading the book and going, no one's ever really done it like this before. No one's ever really, gotten all the verve and the interesting things that are happening. And there's so like this adaptation is really, really close to the source material in terms of like text and dialogue. Um, and a lot of the technique. I mean, I was impressed. There's moments where you're like, wow, that lighting is really strong. Like the way like he strikes a match and then and then and you're like, wow, this is really impressive work for a movie that looks like shit. Like for every frame looks fucking terrible. Jim Carrey plays the three spirits in this movie, in addition to obviously playing Scrooge. Way too much of a cartoon to be anything like a good Scrooge.
Hmm.
It's really stupid.
And he's like trying in the first part of it to kind of maintain, but then it's like, we're flying over rooftops. And then I think all of his ghosts are bad. Ghost of
Yeah.
Christmas Past, really bad. Ghost of
Yeah.
Christmas Present, really bad. Probably the best of the three. And then Ghost of, is yet to come is not like I I don't know what the hell was going on here, but it was so bad that along with Mars Needs Moms in 2011, it killed Image Movers, it killed mocap at Disney. Um, I think it kind of killed this trend in general, with the exception of Avatar and Planet of the Apes. I guess Andy Serkis is out there still
Hmm.
doing this
And
shit.
and even that's like a third of what is actually on frame is
Yeah,
Hmm.
right. You don't. It's not like an entire mocapped cast, an entire mocapped world, and they don't. I think one of the things with the Apes movies is they don't try to retain so much of the actors' faces, like
yeah.
the details of their faces, like the specific shapes and
Hmm.
things. Gary Oldman plays Bob Cratchit in this movie. Fucking horrible choice.
He
Makes no
voices
sense.
voices Tiny Tim as well. It's just
Why would that be?
it's just nonsense.
Why would that be, Robert Zemeckis? Why would you have Gary Oldman? as either of those guys. Like clearly Gary Oldman is more of a Scrooge than a Bob
Yeah.
Cratchit, and Jim Carrey might be more of a Jacob Marley or something. I don't know.
Jim Carrey is more of a get the fuck out of my movie.
Jim
Yeah.
Carrey being famous is a top 10 millennial crime.
I feel like that was happening before we were
Love
old
it.
enough to spend money.
Love Eternal Sunshine.
That's
Love
the
the
one,
Truman. Love the
millennial wise.
Truman. Love the Truman Show.
Yeah, but you guys pressure your parents into taking you.
Yeah, I'm not a millennial. I can't speak on this. Um, yeah, I watched this movie in theaters at the ripe age of 10. I just turned 10 because it would be Christmas. Um, and it's just like one of the first movies that I ever remember not liking.
Mm, yeah.
And the big one the following year was the live action Last Airbender, where I was
Mm.
like, oh,
Ooh,
movies can be awful.
Movies can disappoint you. Movies can hurt your
yeah.
feelings.
Yeah,
I will shout that I did also see Black Christmas last night on a 35
Hey.
millimeter print.
as good as it gets.
Hmm.
I just that movie's cinematography, the
Yeah,
halation of all the soft Christmas lights. I don't think there's another movie that looks really like it. There are other, I mean, we're going to talk about Eyes Wide Shut, which has some similarities, but I've
For
rarely
sure.
seen any movie lean that hard into, no, I want this to be the light source of my movie, is
yep.
like interior amber lights and little tiny Christmas lights, and just let the whole thing be
Mhm.
that soft. Let the whole thing glow like it's Barry fucking Lyndon. Absolutely caustic, cruel, hilarious. The final shot is one of the all-time final shots.
It's like an evil movie. There's evil in the celluloid.
It's pretty good.
Yeah,
There's a lot of like this like trickery of like I'm pulling the character's attention this way while pulling the viewer's attention this way. So you see that there's a guy climbing into the attic and she doesn't, right? There's always
Mhm.
like a almost mechanical logic to why do the characters not know what is happening or that this is happening? They're mistaking characters for other characters. Just great. John Sachs, the end. One of our all-time.
Margot Kidder giving one of the turns of the 70s.
She's so coarse and vulgar. I showed this movie to my parents a few years back and they fucking hated it. They hated it
Yeah,
so much that they're still talking about how much they hated it.
yeah.
But all the more reason to think that it's like a joyfully like I wanted to say dour right there, but just I don't know what the right like scuzzy. It's like a
Yeah.
scuzzy movie. I think this
It's
is like a top three slasher for me as
it's
well.
number one for me.
It's pretty high up there.
It's just so mean and so
Yeah.
fun.
And it,
Easily
it,
one of
it
the best Christmas movies too.
Yep.
it's why Bob Clark's later film A Christmas Story does not work for me. Is because uh, especially after seeing Death Dream or whatever it's called now. It was originally called Death Dream, which is
Mhm.
one of his movies, I think just before Black Christmas. Bob Clark is a vicious bastard.
I
And
think that Christmas Story is more caustic than, it's a
yeah,
sweet movie,
that's
but
the issue. I don't think these things cohere at all.
It
I
does
I
have some bitterness to it though.
it specifically feels like a reaction to Miracle on 34th Street or It's a Wonderful Life, where it's like this is what Christmas is really like. It's dad's cursing in the basement. You just got in trouble. You didn't really get what you wanted. Oh wait, like it's a sweet movie for sure. But it's also, I don't know, it's just funny. That's been like a staple. See, unlike some of the things we've been talking about, Christmas Story is one that like we watched all the time. That's actually why I showed them Black Christmas, as I was like, so you guys know he made this other Christmas movie, right? Let's watch it together. And then they were
Yeah,
like,
see,
oh hell no.
that was dirty the way you did that,
Yeah.
though.
I know it
I
was, but how
I
else am I gonna get them to watch it?
I do want to talk about Christmas as a film genre just for a moment
Sure.
because frankly most of them are shit.
Hmm?
And
Well, the
it's
bulk, like the
yeah.
larger number. I wouldn't say that the majority of the big annual staples are shit per se. And,
Mhm.
and I feel like that's an important because yeah, there's so much bloat out there
Yeah,
of
and
like it, yeah.
but I will say I find that people are generally more forgiving
Yeah.
of even the really bad ones for comparison. Like we are in year 25 of people trying to convince us that the Jim Carrey Grinch is a good movie, and I refuse
Right.
to fall for that propaganda.
Jim Carrey,
I
I
Grinch,
mean,
Polar
there
Express,
there are people on
Elf.
this earth. There are people on this earth who think that Christmas with the Cranks is a good movie,
I
and I
think
will
that
not tolerate
we
that.
we saw Silent Night, Deadly Night last Thursday, and Ron Howard's The Grinch was playing in the same
Mhm.
theater, and they kept making jokes over and my friends kept making jokes over and over again that that's what we should really be seeing. And I told them
Oh,
resolutely that if they want to do that,
absolutely
they are
not.
welcome to get up and go to the theater to do that. I will sit my ass and watch Silent Night, Deadly Night. I will not pay money to see Ron Howard's How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
that was another Christmas staple in my house. My parents really liked that movie.
My thank
Awful.
God mine hated it because I
I
also hate it.
I
So
think
like,
that's part of the key. So it's just to scramble it all up. There are only so many good to great Christmas movies. So you're gonna wind up watching those ones that you find good to great all the time.
mhm,
Because every year you might have that inclination of like, I'd like to watch something for Christmas. I'd like to watch, the Charlie Brown, the Muppets,
mhm.
whatever your thing is. So
White
you
Christmas
watch
is
those
one that
movies
was like
all the
every
time.
year.
You watch those. The Apartment is like a very consistent um to our late great Rob Reiner when Harry met Sally for New Year's, right? That's just
Mm,
like there actually are quite a few really good New Year's movies out there. But you will watch them over and over and over again. Because you might also be in the mood, you might start to expand that out into, Rankin and Bass Christmas movies or whatever,
yeah.
and watch them traditionally over and over and over again. And so it keeps them in the conversation. It keeps them on people's minds. Like okay, I don't remember fucking anything about National Lampoon's Vacation. I do, they're going to Wally World. Like I've seen it. The Psycho thing. But National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, I've seen like 50 fucking times for some reason. Like when you think about the Clark Griswold thing, you think about him in the Santa
Hmm.
hat in the house. Like because they are so repetitive and traditional,
Hmm.
because your family likes them, right? Because
Yeah.
my mom or my grandma or whoever, my younger
Hmm.
siblings really like that movie. We watch it all the time and it adds this layer
That
of acceptance.
that one is the only tradition we have. It is probably the movie
National
I have
Lampoon.
logged. Yeah, it is probably the movie I've logged the most on Letterboxd, just because it is without
Hmm.
fail it will be thrown on.
I only saw that for the first time a few years ago, and I was like, oh yeah, this is pretty funny.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's kind of interesting to see. I definitely think my parents and grandparents like it's a lot of like the more irreverent and funny Christmas movies that they
Hmm.
like. It's like where Santa's gonna come down the chimney and like get his ass burnt by the fire, kind of like that's ha ha ha.
Yeah.
As opposed to the I just mentioned Miracle on 34th Street. It's a Wonderful Life was never really a traditional movie for us. White Christmas you just mentioned.
Yeah. White Christmas is a was a staple. It's a Wonderful Life never was, and honestly, I hate that movie with like
It's
a
it's a good
passion.
it's a good motion picture. I was
I
always on the like it's good, but I think I had it at a 3 star and then I bumped it
Mhm.
up to like a 3.5. I was like, I like this. Jimmy Stewart, I like it.
I'm a
Thumbs up.
hater, and that's fine.
It's a movie about, so, at the end of The Dark Knight, which is also a cult favorite, there's a line where Batman's like, sometimes people deserve to have their faith rewarded. And that is what It's a Wonderful Life is, right? He's lived
Hmm.
this faithful life. He's taken care of people. He gets himself into a scrape. He has to decide that he wants to live, and then once he does, his faith is rewarded. And it's like that's a nice story. Frank Capra, nice director, very, very warm, cuddly guy. I don't know if he was a warm, cuddly guy, but his movies are
I've
warm and
heard the
cuddly.
opposite.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
would
very,
not be
very much
surprised if
the
he was an
opposite.
asshole, but I don't mean him, the man. I mean,
Yeah,
like, they're very like warm, cheesy movies. I say
I,
cheesy, but like, whatever.
I do like Capra when he's a little more bitter.
For sure. For sure. My favorite Capra is Arsenic and Old Lace, which again goes back to that like irreverence, like
Hmm.
we're doing jokes. We're
Yeah,
having fun with this idea.
that was a Halloween staple.
Yeah. That's my grandmother's favorite movie
Good
is
pick.
Arsenic and Old Lace. So, Kubrick, or did you have any other Christmas stuff? Because this is an offbeat. So like people argue every year for some fucking reason about is Die Hard a Christmas movie? I guess we could ask that question. We could pose that to the
I
chat.
was
I
gonna
feel like
say,
Cole you might have the most restrictive idea of what is a Christmas movie. I tend to go with the broadest. Like to me, The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring is a Christmas movie if you watch it at Christmas. For many years,
They
but
leave Rivendell on the 25th of December. Make it
the
so.
only criteria for me
They use
is
the
that
Earth
if you
calendar.
watch it in
Yeah,
the
yeah.
whole all of Lord of the Rings is set in the real world. We don't have to get into this. It's too much. But it's the whole setup is that Tolkien like found these histories and translated them into English. Anyway, we're moving on.
Okay,
I tend to
bizarre.
think that if Die Hard is set during Christmas and there's a guy in a Santa hat and it says ho ho ho, that's enough. Those are enough criteria for to go. It's got Christmas in it.
I,
And
I,
I would
I,
go even broader. Like they re-released The Shining in theaters in December. Why did they do that? Because it's got a wintry, Christmassy, at home with the family kind of energy to it. Even though it's not a Christmas movie at all, there's only one holiday name dropped and it's the 4th of July. It takes place over a winter, but you have no idea when. But I have watched that movie in December many, many, many times. We used to do back when The Force Awakens came out 10 years ago, every December up until Solo, and then again the next year with Rise of Skywalker, there was a Star Wars movie. We would watch Star Wars every fucking Christmas because like the original Empire Strikes, like the trilogy or whatever. Star Wars has a very Christmassy energy to me because I have watched it so often in the Christmas season.
I mean, it's got more of a Life Day feel to me, but
I'm just saying, I'm just saying. I don't keep strict rules. Batman Returns, Christmas movie.
Oh, I mean, absolutely.
Eyes Wide Shut, Christmas movie. Like if it touches it, it's in.
Yeah, I think if it's set during it or has something to do with it, and like I do think that Die Hard is a Christmas movie because it takes place at Christmas. You got to have the Christmas Eve party
Yeah.
happening in order for everyone
Macaulay
to
Culkin
be
was
up
talking about
there.
like it could be saying like no, it couldn't. There's a Christmas party. Everyone is
Yeah,
gathered in the place because it's Christmas. That makes it a Christmas movie. I'm sorry. Like
and
I
like
don't even
as
have a passionate interest in Die Hard, whether or not it is. I just it's just whatever you're th if you watch fucking Fraggle Rock that's a TV show. I was just aiming for a Jim Henson. If you watch The Dark Crystal every Christmas Eve, then buddy, it's a Christmas movie to you.
Yeah,
I would
it's
say,
let's to be perfectly frank, in the modern day, Christmas is like 75% aesthetic at this
Totally.
point. So
yeah.
that is for movies especially, that is mostly what matters.
Yeah,
Mhm.
agreed. It's a Christmas tree, it's Christmas lights, it's maybe the day itself. I think one thing to pivot, segue into Eyes Wide Shut and its structure, I couldn't help but think that it had a little bit of a reminiscence to A Christmas Carol. And Cole, you've probably encountered that, having watched the pair of movies together for many years, where it
Yeah,
is that overnight into the dawn thing, which I think is so much like what I think of when I think of Christmas is Christmas Eve into Christmas Day. It's
yeah.
the transition from night into day.
Hmm.
That's what makes A Christmas Carol, right? He's up all night on Christmas Eve with these ghosts and he wakes up. What day is it? It's Christmas morning. I haven't missed it. Like that's Christmas to me, like
Yeah.
that transition. And that's not to say that that's the only way you can interpret Eyes Wide Shut, but given all the scenic decoration stuff. That's what it kind of feels like to me.
Hmm. And I think that feeds into the part of my personal belief that Christmas Eve is the superior holiday
Undeniably.
over the day, if I'm being honest.
The day, to connect it to an idea in Eyes Wide Shut, has a sobering characteristic to it. The
Yeah.
day is over by 10, 11 noon, right? And
Hmm.
then from noon till the time you go to bed, it's like hangover time. What are you doing? Are you going to a Christmas party? No. You went to the Christmas party last night. You had Christmas morning with the family. Now we clean up. We maybe have like a dinner all together and pop on one of these movies that we just talked about that maybe not even that good, right? Like Christmas Day, it's like it's over. You're in and that whole period between that and New Year's Eve, to me, like that's the ideal time to watch The Apartment because it's like this cold, dreary, what the fuck are we even doing? Nobody wants to work, nobody wants to do anything, but like the holiday season is over. We're packing up the decorations and putting them back into the boxes already at that point. Or we're not doing that and we're letting our house stay Christmassy, but knowing that it's really over.
I think the latest we've ever had a tree up was Valentine's Day. We were
That's
really
a
lazy that year.
it's a bridge too far.
I
Um,
know.
uh, our tree is not even up yet, mostly because the weather has been awful. And last year I went out and got the decorations out of the outhouse, not the out,
uh,
not the outhouse, but
Stop
the
that because
shed
that's like so
outside.
hard.
Yeah. The shed outside. Last year I did that when the weather was awful and muddy and wet, and I fell and broke my ass. So I was a little, it can wait. And we finally got it out today, and we'll probably go up either tonight or tomorrow.
Yeah.
Um, on the topic of Eyes Wide Shut, the thing that struck me the most, because I had Baum on the brain, was the similarities to this, but
Mhm,
and the Wizard of Oz.
for
You
sure.
know, you would break it down, a
Yeah.
guy unsatisfied with his current situation, uh, seeks a world and falls into a world well beyond his understanding. Really, it's more like begs to be part of a different world and then goes to that different world unexpectedly and finds he is in way out of his depth.
Somewhere under the rainbow.
Yes, uh,
Hmm.
is cast out of that world by its forces and its own desire to go home. Uh, but at the tail end meets up with the figure that is behind the curtain. Nobody died. She overdosed. It's what happens to drug addicts. We didn't kill anybody. It's the man behind the curtain. Pay no attention to Sidney Pollock. And then he goes home and he's like, I have everything I need right here.
I think as it can't help his wife's name is Alice. That's what I'll say.
Yeah,
His wife's name is
yeah.
Alice, and so naturally your brain probably also going to that particular, similar energy. Christmas Carol was on the brain for me in the season. I also have this on a list of mine called Kafka-esque because it is
Hmm.
totally this, and that was like what I left thinking. I was like, yeah, this is like if instead of Charles Dickens, Franz Kafka wrote A Christmas Carol, this is about what it would be like. Where it's
Hmm.
just and with that, I would also just to get all my comparisons off the table, it's like After Hours by Martin
Hmm.
Scorsese if the movie kept going after he got back to work. That's like there was like a whole hour after he woke up the next day and was like, we're still in this. We still have not gotten out of the fucking nightmare situation. Only now it's more cold and bracing than it was before, less funny.
This pot is making you aggressive. Sounds right out of After Hours.
Totally.
Just that whole scene, really. The
Yeah.
Yes.
greatest stoned acting of all time. With their little teas.
I love her anger after she says that.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not the pot, it's you. Stop fucking lying to me.
I've always been a little bit adrift with Nicole Kidman in this, which I'm not. I realize that's very takey, but it's an interesting character. I think it's like one of the things that keeps me from feeling like this is my number one Kubrick movie. However, the sequence where it is the two of them at home and they're thing at each other, very good. And then it just kind of feels like we lose her. Although it's an interesting thing that almost feels literary because like we're on her side, basically the gist, the setup, what's happening is they have this very cold transactional type of marriage. It's all based
Yeah.
on titles and roles. And then she divulges to him that she has like a sexual fantasy, and he realizes that there is this interior part of her that is outside of his control. He can't grasp it, he can't do anything with it. And it's not about her unfaithfulness. It's not about she cheated on me or she's going to cheat on me. It's about there is a part of her that I cannot possess. And then that's to me like why he goes on this whole nocturnal odyssey. It's not to have an affair, it's to explore this liberation only to find that like there's so much inside of him that can't be satisfied by this outside world. Like it's just such an interesting character. That's what kind of makes it feel so Kafka to me, is because we really do follow this guy around who doesn't belong in the world, but is totally of the world. Like he is what the world has made it to be, but he doesn't belong. He's just rejected everywhere that he goes, right? He doesn't have the invitation. He's an interloper. He's an intruder everywhere that he is, including within his own marriage. Um, fascinating, fascinating use of Tom Cruise here.
It's like the greatest inversion of star power in the movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and he did it. I mean, it's funny because we've actually talked about both of these movies on the podcast this very year, but it's not the same as Eyes or not the same as Magnolia, but that is also like, we're gonna pierce who is this star. We're gonna pierce masculinity. We're gonna pierce sexuality. And I think at the core of both characters is something that's much softer and more pathetic and more vulnerable
Mhm.
than what is on the exterior.
Yeah. I mean, he's turned into a quivering mess by the end.
Hmm.
I think the most powerful thing in this movie is just the feeling of it, the tone that it presents.
Hmm.
I think all the time about, especially because of one shot in it, of him going to the costume shop and finding this guy's daughter and two Asian men in their underwear in the back of that costume shop, and just the absolute like this side quest did not turn out the way I thought it was going to.
Right.
And it's like the shot of the daughter up behind his shoulder and then whispers in his ear and then smiles at him is just like the most fantastically evocative image of two people's faces in the medium. Just like, oh, it's I don't know what I'm supposed to feel from this, but I feel a lot all of a sudden. And that's like a lot of the movie to me is that it'll be Tom Cruise walking down the street looking like he doesn't know who he is, or in a cab looking like his life means nothing. And then he turns into this place and, oh, it's mask orgy. Like, that's the thing that makes this movie famous now. But,
Yeah.
like, that wasn't, we didn't know that was gonna happen. It's just like it happens, and it's like, okay, all of a sudden this movie could go in a lot of different directions.
I the like one of the last times I think that we all watched it together, I was definitely thinking a lot about Vertigo. It's like this like path of desire into like a spiral of
Hmm.
unresolved, mysterious, it's more about the approach than the literal plots. But I was thinking about how formally dreamlike it is. So I already mentioned this. We have all the rear projection stuff. So Stanley Kubrick would not get on a plane and go back to America. He refused. So this movie was filmed in the UK. So Tom Cruise had to fly his ass to the UK, where they meticulously recreated New York City and used a lot of rear projection, which is a
Hmm.
process of basically projecting a background image behind him. You've seen it in a million old movies, usually when characters are driving in a car. The rear projection, like in Psycho, there's rear projection. Very Hitchcocky, very dreamy, very unreal, like uncanny, but like not A Christmas Carol Zemeckis uncanny. Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, this isn't right. Something is
Yeah.
out of place. Something is wrong. And that feeling pervades every moment of the movie, especially at nighttime. Once the sun comes up the next day, it's way more, I've used this word already, like sobering or bracing or like just getting doused in cold water. But like I think about the scene where the guys all accost him and they're calling him slurs and they're like, the star power thing, the Tom Cruise post interview with the vampire sexuality, and how does that all connect to him not sexually pleasing his wife basically in this film, who is his real wife in the real world at the time. Because when did the divorce pics get taken? Was that 99? Was that like right after this was filmed?
No, that was definitely later. So this movie was shot for 400 days straight.
That's
It is
fucking
still
insane.
the longest
In like 1997 or something, years before it came out.
it was still the longest continuous film shoot in recorded history.
I think this is where everybody gets that impression of
That
Kubrick. He's always been a control freak, but like
this was the ultimate
this is
control freak project.
this is where it gets a little cartoonish.
The divorce was 2001.
Got it. Right. That's on, yeah, same year as Vanilla Sky and Moulin Rouge, which is a topic for another day.
And the
Um,
Mhm.
hours.
good movie. Not as good as the other two, but good.
Oh wait, no, The Hours was the year later, but
Was it
crucial to
O2?
the
Yeah,
yeah,
O2.
but crucial to the narrative.
Yeah. I think that there is just such an uncanny and dreamlike characteristic. Even thinking about like the party at the very
Hmm.
beginning, where she's there and she's kind of like doing this like flirty stuff. She's in the dress and everything, where you're
Hmm.
just like, I can't tell. There's just something so, and I guess The Shining has this characteristic too, and I really like it there. Although
Hmm.
even that has more of, like Wendy brings him some eggs and bacon. There's like a scene in this, and I always think about this image because it's so well production designed where she's eating her little Snackwell cookies and like watching the TV in the sort of like moonlit kitchen, and it's like,
Yeah,
where the fuck is this? Like, this is such a detailed place that you can't help but think it's real, but who the fuck lives here? No real person lives. It's such a weird. There's always this disconnect and friction through everything that's happening in this. I
there's
think the
there's a
times where that breaks the most is like the Pollock conversation, like Morgan was talking about. The
mhm,
Pollock conversation doesn't feel like a dream. It feels like a real, like, oh no, that this is like when the dream stops being a dream and is like, oh shit.
yeah. There's a level of New York City society that Cruz and Kidman's characters are allowed to exist in this movie. Sort of the upper crust. Oh, he's the doctor, she's the doctor's wife.
And it's
He
so
goes
high
to the
but no
Christmas party,
higher,
yada yada
or so
yada.
low but no lower kind of thing. Like
Hmm.
there are these barriers.
Right. And then the drama unfolds when he tries to pierce past that and gets into this sex masquerade orgy at a mansion outside the city. They got crazy fucking music going. Everybody's having sex.
The fucking reversed music when they're doing like he's swinging
Yeah.
around the ashes and they're in the big circles, like, uh,
Doctor
uh,
Hook's contributions on the score are utterly fantastic and otherworldly.
just magical and nightmarish. I, I think it goes without saying, and anybody can basically, Kubrick, distance, coldness, observing from, like the smooth, steady cam, ghostly floating through the Overlook Hotel. That's Stanley Kubrick.
Hmm.
So all the sex stuff is not erotic.
Yeah.
It's like the
Hmm.
most
It's
unerotic
so
imagery in movies.
cold.
It's like anatomical almost.
Hmm.
Even something like Salo, right? Where it has like all these rape, torture type things happening in Solo. Similar energy, right? Because Pasolini is a similar formalist, distanced. But even that feels more erotic. Even that feels
Hmm.
more bodily. They're eating shit in that movie, and it feels like, no, that shit came out of somebody's butthole. I don't feel like anybody in Eyes Wide Shut has a butthole. Like they're like
Yeah.
weird fucking alien people. It's
Nic
difficult to
Nicole Kidman
describe.
has multiple nude scenes, and it's like, but she looks like a statue.
Right.
It's like Michelangelo-esque. Like you don't look at Michelangelo's David and go, "Oh, give me a piece of that."
The masks don't feel
Necessarily.
Yeah.
like a way that these characters hide. They feel like a way that they actually demonstrate, like they are masks, like they are statues, they are
Hmm.
roles, like especially at the beginning. Like I was kind of saying that, like they're defined by these marital roles that could be a mask. I have a husband mask, you have a wife mask. So the masks don't feel like something that they put on. I don't know, I sound like fucking David Carradine in Kill Bill Volume 2. Dr. Bill is actually his criticism of the whole human race.
That's really it's just the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life. But it's delivered by an idiot asshole. So
Indeed.
it's like, what did you think he thought?
He's trying to convince his wife, like, this is why I had to shoot you in the head, honey.
Yeah.
It's because of Superman. Um, yeah. This is definitely a movie where, so Morgan, Riley, Jake, and I all watched Eyes Wide Shut on Zoom, which is definitely one of the wilder things we've ever chosen to watch all together. Not because it's such a crazy movie, but because that format tends to be us like bullshitting around with each other and like joking. And, this is such a like not that kind of movie. But we were just going absolutely bananas for it in terms of like its formal characteristics. Just like anytime a camera move would happen, it just
Hmm.
like getting like excited. It's a movie that I find really invigorating and exciting just to watch him execute it. I think it's, you can't help but look back and think like, this is a final statement for Kubrick, right? It's the last movie he ever made before
Yeah,
his death. He obviously exercised all this control over it. He's got these two huge stars, but it's very enigmatic. It doesn't feel like a big crescendo moment of a career. It feels like a anticlimax, if anything. But it's such a dense thing that you just kind of can't help but reflect on it as that. Um, the nature of the artists who are participating in it, whether you're talking about Cruise, look at the poster, Cruise, Kidman, Kubrick, right? Like that is the movie as much
that
as
is one
the
of the
movie.
best taglines ever.
Mm. It's
Back when
so
people didn't even
dramatic.
know things. This is Kubrick's highest grossing film.
Yeah, by
I
That's
some
think it
distance.
insane.
I think it
By
would
some
have
distance.
I adjusted it for inflation and it's like $370 million if it came
Yeah.
out today.
I would have guessed Shining or maybe Full Metal
This
Jacket.
this
Shining
opened
had
at
such bad word of mouth though
Yeah,
when
I
it
know.
came
Yeah,
out.
yeah, yeah.
yeah. This opened at number one at the US box office in the middle of July. They positioned this as a summer picture.
Insane.
I have multiple directions to think about there. I guess one of them is that in The Shining, it's a July 4th picture. Like they nod, and I think The Shining was also a summer release, wasn't it? That didn't come out in
Probably.
winter.
I don't believe so.
I think it
Let
came out in
me
July.
check.
And the pivot that I would make is just to think about Christopher Nolan, a guy who loves Stanley Kubrick a whole lot, who's like, every movie he ever makes from now on is going to come out on July 17th.
That came out Memorial Day weekend.
Memorial Day weekend for The Shining.
Hmm.
Okay,
And it
why
didn't
not?
do well?
I mean, $50 million isn't bad, but it's not as high
Considering the
as Eyes Wide
culture,
Shut.
considering the culture that exists around it now, you would have
Hmm.
thought, a little bit more, but similar to the
And
Step
Thing and
aside.
82 or
Step
it had a
Playground.
aside.
s- it was definitely more well liked than The Shining critically, but it had a similar sort of soft, I don't know what he's doing here
Yeah,
reception, which has kind of been the story of all of them, except for like the obviously amazing ones like Paths of Glory in 2001. They're all
um,
sort of just like fucking with you a lot.
I would say Doctor Strangelove. I mean, Doctor Strangelove just has like a clear
Also,
identity to what it's doing.
Yeah.
Spartacus is relatively straightforward.
That's
Yeah.
kind of like pre Spartacus and Killers and like The Killing, excuse me, Killer's Kiss. Those are all kind of like pre-arrival. Even Lolita's kind of like well, actually Lolita's after Strangelove, I think, which is kind of weird to think about because
No,
it
it's
feels.
before.
Is it before? Okay, good. It feels like it's before, just being so built as it is around like James Mason. Like it's the
Hmm.
performances, it's very Hollywood. And then he gets off the Hollywood thing.
Yeah.
It's interesting to me to think about how he's such a precise formalist. And there are people now that go after his style. Obviously, I mentioned Nolan. Yorgos Lanthimos is there. Not a great example of what I'm about to talk about, and neither is like, I don't know, whatever.
Laser.
Yeah, also not a great example. But I think,
Blazer's mostly just making this movie.
Yeah.
well, Birth for sure, but there's a lot of like 2001, and there's a lot of Shining in the zone of interest as well. Um, I think that for somebody that's so precise, like let's think about like Wes Anderson, right?
Hmm.
Not similar to Kubrick, but similarly formally like
Meticulous.
image, right? Symmetry. His movies don't leave a lot to your imagination. They are very often like literal, character does thing, there's a theme, there's a moral, there's a lesson. The idea of somebody this precise and this controlled, allowing the meaning to be enigma and uncertainty is pretty cool. This feels like Kubrick for a post Twin Peaks world. I think I said that
Yeah.
at some point discussing it.
Yeah,
Like, you know,
absolutely.
I'm not saying that it's Lynch inspired or that he was into Lynch, but it has those characteristics of like it's a feeling, not an understanding. It's not a lesson. But I think, you said 2001. 2001 has one part of it that's really straightforward, with the robot and everything. And then the whole end of it is like, okay, sure. I think I get what that means. I sort
Mm.
of get what you're going for here. So I think that's kind of one of the magic things about Kubrick is that he's a very disciplined filmmaker in terms of how images are constructed, in terms of the symmetry of his stories. But he's perfectly willing to like, yeah, you don't have to understand what that just was. You know, it is what you think it is. It's a question. It's not an answer. And this
And
definitely is like his most
because it's
in that.
me and my taste, that is the mode that I prefer. Like my one and two are this and The Shining,
Yeah,
where it's just the
Mm.
most like, is that what happened?
yeah.
Mm.
The Shining in particular. I didn't get into a lot of this, but I'll do it now because I think the conversation has led us there. Where it's like
Yeah.
there's so many details that don't add up in that movie. It's so meticulous. I was thinking about how the space of it, of
Mm.
The Shining, of the Overlook, is something that you understand so well from the very beginning, and then how he uses that to fuck with you in that last year at Marion Bad kind of way. Like, just to use an example, in the quarters that Jack and Wendy are living in, you have the door, there's a hallway, Danny's room, their room, bathroom. And by the end, you literally see him take an axe to one door, two door, three door, and you know what the order of operations is. But then there are all these other moments where the space is fucked up, or the dates don't add up, or we go from Delbert Grady to John Grady, and you're like, wait, what is happening here? Ah? And I think that this almost doubles down on that. I do think that there's a lot of similarities, maybe just because it winter time frame, married couple, little guy losing his fucking mind, and his wife is just trying to like uh survive his mania. There is, I think, I think these two movies are fairly connected to each other, The Shining and didn't you see these kind of close together in theaters or something, Cole, a few years back
Oh, the new Bev shows them as a double feature
as a
every
double
single
feature?
December.
Okay, well there you go. I didn't know that. I didn't realize it was like a programmed double feature, but it makes sense. They fit together pretty nicely.
Hmm.
I mean, all of the heavy hitters are all kind of antagonistic in some way, but like my favorites in particular are these two and Doctor Strangelove, which is hysterically antagonistic,
Right.
and then Full Metal Jacket, which is like the most Nietzschean stare into the abyss
I didn't realize you had
antagonistic.
Full Metal Jacket so high over like Barry Lyndon.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
It's
Yeah.
I got to Full Metal Jacket way earlier, and that definitely
Same.
informs that. Um,
I've always
Barry
been under
Lyndon,
the really boring opinion that like the basic training parts of Full Metal Jacket are a lot more entertaining than the Vietnam War parts.
certainly a lot more entertaining. Yeah,
And I realize that could come like I'm saying it that way to say like there's obviously value in the Vietnam stuff, but it gets really repetitive. Like it gets really like
sure.
grindy and repetitive. It doesn't have the same dynamism.
Yeah, that's kind of the point, though.
Yeah, but it doesn't make the movie any more interesting to watch. I get it. I understand. It's kind of like we were saying about it's kind of like what I was saying about Secret Agent. Like sometimes you have that emotional response and it's like, yeah, that was the idea. It's like, yeah, okay. I still felt like I watched the same scene happen 30 times in a row in the second half of Full Metal Jacket. And you lose the movie's two big presences in R. Lee Ermey and Vincent D'Onofrio are both off screen. And now we've got
Yeah.
to like, do the rest of this with Matthew Modine basically. Anyway,
Yeah.
different Kubrick movie.
He just there's never been a guy that loves fucking with you more
Hmm.
than
I
old
I
Stan.
or
Yeah.
anybody that loves those symmetrical structures more. Basic training into Vietnam.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, the night of Eyes Wide Shut into the day of Eyes Wide Shut. 2001 is kind of in thirds as opposed to halves. But there's a clear ascending, descending, or descending, ascending, however you want to look at it, to A Clockwork Orange, right? Doing
Yeah.
all the evil
Yeah.
shit. Now I've got the cure. Now we're going back through
Hmm.
all the same things we went through before, but it's like fucked up now because yeah,
Yeah.
That's the one of I'm missing Lolita, Spartacus, the
Lolita's really
killing.
good.
Yeah. That's always
Lolita's
one
like
of
a really sturdy adaptation of like the greatest novel ever written, but
that's
it's
the thing is that
good
I
in
kind of want
different
to read the
ways.
book first.
It
Uh
will blow your fucking head off.
yeah. Um I think those are the three. A Clockwork Orange is definitely my least favorite of them,
Of the majors for me too.
which is like
Agreed.
I'm
Yeah.
like a hard 8 out of 10 movie. Very
That's where I
good.
have it too. I think
Um
Cole's a little bit more Pauline Kael about the whole thing.
I am, to be honest.
Any
Stanley
response
Kubrick
to
Juvenalia.
Everyone
any
has a
res
misstep, and that's fine.
any response to that movie, I completely understand. Like,
Yeah.
like just it's maybe the most he has ever fucked with you as an
Hmm.
audience, and it
Yeah.
sort of like
It's Juvenalia, is the
yeah,
way that it's like it feels like, oh, we drew cocks all over the walls.
yeah.
Like the thing about it is that
We
Wendy
drew these rocket
Carlos
ships
is
on
the
the
goat.
I was just about to say.
yeah,
Yeah, it and
yeah.
like funnily enough, you follow that up with my favorite of his movies, Barry Lyndon.
Yeah. I've always been now I have Barry Lyndon at 5 stars. I think it was a bump from a 4.5 at one point. Always loved it, but I've always been a shade cooler on it than my absolute favorite, similar to Eyes Wide Shut.
I mean, it's
I'm
a
I'm
very
like,
cold movie.
which, yeah,
It's
I
interesting because it's
ultimately,
also very funny.
Yeah.
yeah, I think the second half gets very glacial in Barry Lyndon. That's
Yeah.
another half and half, rise and fall kind of story. And the second
Mhm.
half is very like glacial, picturesque. Some of his more patient characteristics that work for me in like a Doctor Strangelove, like the bomb run, tick, 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 are a little bit more patience testing, but I still think Barry Lyndon's like a perfect movie, so it's not like I have anything bad to say about it. It's interesting. I know a lot of people who crystallize on Lyndon and Eyes Wide Shut as the two. Like I think if Riley were here, Riley would say those are the two best, are Eyes Wide Shut and Barry Lyndon. So I always kind of think it's interesting how people pair off. Of all the directors out there, he's kind of the most like a personality test because I think from a formal perspective, how things are put together, they're always at the same level of excellence. It's just a matter of which characters, which stories, which ideas, which moods are the most interesting to you, right?
Yeah.
So I tend to kind of crystallize on genre, horror, sci-fi, but also like war, I guess. He's got a lot of war movies to be fair, but
Hmm.
it's always kind of interesting, I think, because you don't really get into an argument about like, well, no, Eyes Wide Shut is garbage. Like, no, it's not. It's just, maybe that kind of sexuality, envy, psychological is going to be more your speed than the carceral prison ironic comedy of A Clockwork Orange, right? Just
Hmm.
different lists of characteristics that will or will not kind of click in your brain.
Yeah. And for me, like the big three are Barry Lyndon, Eyes Wide Shut in 2001.
You
You
got
know,
all three of those over The Shining.
yeah.
Wow. Because you're also a fiver on the show, so you're kind of where I'm at on Barry Lyndon on The
I
Shining.
mean,
Not the same.
we're talking about one of the greatest filmmakers to
I
ever
know, I know,
live.
I know, I know. The Shining was just one of those things. I mean, I think I saw that movie when I was like 7 years old, and it completely fucked up my life, and it's
Hmm.
been fucking up my life ever since. I'm actually currently reading that book, which is it's really good. I
Mm.
kind of forgot how good it was.
Far from my
And I
favorite. I think
Oh yeah,
absolute he got
Misery's like a
absolutely
better
mollywopped by the
Mis
by Stan.
and by himself when he eventually wrote Misery in the following
Yeah.
decade in the
I mean,
80s.
he's been bitter about it to this day. So
I would
Fucking
be bitter.
crybaby.
Yeah, it's like I would either be bitter or I would be like myself and be like, this is the greatest fucking movie I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
yeah.
He's cool with Brian De Palma, so I don't really know what his problem is. Um,
If I
whatever.
was him, I would take pride in, being the inspiration. I'd be like,
I,
yeah,
I
that
think
was
I
my
think it's
idea.
because it's such a personal story. I think The Shining
Yeah.
is a more personal story.
Yeah.
It's an autobiographical, and the
Hmm.
biggest change that Kubrick makes, maybe tying it back to the movie at hand, is Jack Torrance is less of a sympathetic figure, and he's much more of a monster. He's
Yeah.
much more of like an unforgivable piece of shit. And
Hmm.
I think that is also the case here. I think maybe where Lyndon and maybe where Eyes Wide Shut don't quite cross into the threshold of my favorites. So in The Shining, Jack can be this manifestation of creative frustration, abuse, XYZ, right? An idea more than a person. In a clockwork or in Doctor Strangelove, it's very ironic. It's a satire, right? So we can have Hayden Sterling play this fucking cartoon character and have that work because it's a representative of the
Yeah.
administration. 2001: A Space Odyssey, I think just it's 2001: A Space Odyssey. I don't have to talk that much about it to make the case for why it's good. Barry Lyndon, Eyes Wide Shut are maybe movies where like you would fundamentally change what they are. Barry Lyndon's his most human film. It's like his most
Mm,
I like these people movie that he's ever made, other than maybe Lolita, which is an insane fucking thing to say about Lolita. But I think that Eyes Wide Shut, maybe it's just so unforgiving and caustic with these characters that are more grounded and more human than in some of his other more conceptual pieces. But I
yeah.
think where that ultimately lands and why it ultimately works is because of the star power. It's
Hmm.
because I know who Tom Cruise is. It's because I know, if anything, that has only gotten better since
Yeah.
1999. Like whatever it
Hmm.
was in 99, it's better now because
Yeah.
we have so much more of, we've seen the Vanilla Sky. We've seen the Moulin Rouge. We know who these people are as
Hmm.
stars, and they bring so much of themselves and their persona into it that I think enables the human elements of this to really sing in a way that it wouldn't if we knew these guys less. If these were two anonymous actors, I think this movie wouldn't work.
Yeah. I think the star power of Kubrick's movies has helped really to keep them both
Hitchcock that way
alive,
too.
but also feed into the sort of cult object that they are. The Shining's been the source of
Yeah,
conspiracy theories for ages.
right.
Eyes Wide Shut continues to grow as a cult object I mean, frankly, ever since Stanley's death.
Mhm.
There's been this idea that he was
His
peeling
death and their
back,
divorce.
that this idea that he was peeling back at something real that, they didn't want you to know about. But frankly, in the age of Jeffrey Epstein, this hits harder than ever.
Sure. I made that comparison to Twin Peaks, and it was really more about the dreaminess and the surrealism. But you can connect that to Mulholland Drive a bit too, where
Mm-hmm.
it's like, what was David Lynch trying to tell me about She's the Girl? What was David Lynch trying to tell me about all this stuff? Probably something,
You
once
know,
once you know the truth, you're like, oh,
yeah. You watch this movie, then you go scroll the news, and there's like photos from Epstein's estate where teenage girls had Lolita lines from the book written on them.
right,
It's like,
psychotic. That's fucking insane.
and a million fucking pictures of him and Woody Allen. I mean, Jesus Christ.
Hell is hot and roomy.
They might need
Yes,
to open
indeed.
up an additional wing.
Yeah.
I think we're getting to Morgan's closeout point here. So, any other thoughts, feelings?
Yeah, I mean, this is Kubrick is like obviously masterful. I've given three of his films 5 stars and many 4.5s. Um, he's never really been my guy, you know? And The Shining and Eyes Wide Shut are because they are most similar to Lynch, probably.
I was the Lynch
Eh,
thing, right? Lynch is
yeah,
Yeah.
so human. He's so tender. He's so warm. Even when he's even Eraserhead, which I find to just be this very comedic, humorous provocation, you still feel for this guy. Like you still
yeah.
have these like, oh man, Kubrick doesn't have that. I don't know that he like, the guy that you like that's like that would be like Lars von Trier.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
don't think that Kubrick's quite that myopic. I don't think
No,
he's quite it's
I
somewhere in the
wouldn't
middle,
say.
but he leans
But there
closer to
there
that.
is there is a further sense of like romance in Von
Hmm.
Trier's work that Kubrick doesn't necessarily have. Like
True.
it's despite his use of extremely classical and opera influenced music, there's nothing as operatic as Melancholia
Mm.
in
Mm,
Kubrick's filmography.
That's probably
Um,
2001 is probably the
yeah.
yeah,
a
yeah.
space
Um,
opera. Haha. Good job,
hey,
Zach. Good job.
uh, we're podcasting. Uh, yeah, but those are the two that get the closest to me personally because they are so purely psychological of like what
Mhm.
is like almost in like a
Hmm.
Jungian sense of like
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure, for sure.
what is the super ego? What is the id? What
yeah.
is we're just probing. We are in so deep and
It's
we are
all kind
probing
of in
around.
suggestion. And
Yeah.
I realize
Hmm.
I'm talking a lot about The Shining, but I did just watch that last week, so it's not like it's very far back in my review. But it's like how suggestive it is. Again, it's inconsistencies and things people say. It's hearing an argument through the wall where you're like, did I hear that?
Hmm.
Did I see that? Did that happen? And the unreliability of that. I do
Yeah.
think there's a lot of like Rene last year at Marion Bad, very
Oh
psychological, but like
yeah.
cold and distanced, right? In Marion Bad, no one has a name. They're the in the book
Hmm.
of Marion Bad, like in the script or whatever, they're called like A, X, and Y are the characters' names. So it has that Kafka feeling of the impersonal, of the systemic, of being a rat in a trap that I think works really well here. It's unnerving.
I mean, even the title itself is a contradiction. Eyes wide shut.
Well, and the poster, right, where Kidman's giving you the side eye from the
Hmm.
kissy kissy face. Here, let me pull it here. Where it's eyes wide shut, but she's literally looking right the fuck into your soul right there. This is one of like the all-time movie posters, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it just really nails that like dream logic that operates in this movie.
Mhm, for sure. I do, yeah. His most well, it's this and The Shining, which we've stressed enough, but like his most surreal, his most dreamy, his most fantastical kind of,
Yeah,
um, yeah, really,
and
really
considering he made a movie that has like human evolution and
right.
chimpanzees 4 million years ago worshiping an alien object, that it's a lot to say.
Right, right, right.
Hmm.
Yeah. I've always, in contrast to Morgan, it's like I'm contrasting you, but I'm not really rebutting it. I mean, obviously I'm not rebutting it being your opinion. I'm talking about my own opinion. But I mean, Kubrick, Kurosawa, Bergman, all Hitchcock to an extent. I don't like Hitchcock as well as those other three. I don't think of Ingmar Bergman as being one of my favorite directors, even though he is obviously one of the greatest of all time and appeals to me very much. I he's for the people. Like, he's for the
Yeah.
streets. You know what I mean? Bergman is like
That's
Fuck are
not
you
totally
talking
what
about?
that's not what for the streets means, but
we're moving on. Uh, no,
What
but
the fuck just happened?
no, I mean
what
that.
we have here is a failure to communicate.
But if you think about those guys, right? This is very like Criterion guys, Kurosawa and Bergman in
Hmm.
particular. Like I love Seven Samurai. It's one of the 10 best movies I've ever seen. I just don't think of him as a personal favorite director. I don't. And Kubrick more because The Shining used to be like my favorite movie. So and he got into my life a little earlier than these other like all-time
Yeah.
canonical guys did. So there is a little bit more of an emotional thing, but I just don't think of him like I think about even like Agnes Varda, right? Like that's a canonical director, but only really one of her movies is like that. And I love movies that aren't considered like that at that level of hers. With Kubrick, it's like, yeah, everyone on Earth thinks that Barry Lyndon is one of the best movies ever made. You're not coming up with anything special there. It doesn't feel
Hmm.
personal. It doesn't feel individual, which I know it's not the same thing that you're saying, Morgan. It's more of a sensibility thing. But I think sensibility, Kubrick's a little bit more of a match for me, but I still feel a little removed from ever considering him like a top favorite of mine.
Yeah, I mean, like
And
statistically, I have more Kubricks at 5 stars than I do Wong Kar-wai's, for instance. And it's like a similar amount of films, but Wong is way more like something that speaks to me.
Mm,
I think there's also something here about what you want to represent you and your taste
yeah,
versus like the cold hard truth of, sometimes the canon is right. The canon
right,
exists for a reason.
for sure, for sure. And that's, I think it comes across more with Kubrick in movies than like on the whole, right? I just
Hmm.
wouldn't want to represent myself as somebody that thinks like, because I do have a cooler response to Full Metal Jacket and I do have a cooler response to A Clockwork Orange. I love those movies. I think they're great, but I don't think that they don't move me like The Shining moves me. Shining and Strangelove are really the two where I'm like, that is in my personal canon. And in 2001, I'm like, yeah, it's one of the greatest movies ever made. You know, but it's not like I like Alien more than I like 2001, right? Alien is like
Hmm.
a descendant of that movie, and I like it more. That's way more personally my flavor of a thing,
Hmm.
aesthetically, in terms of what it does.
Yeah.
One day we're going
See,
to do an Alien episode, and I'm going to talk for 7 hours, and I apologize for that in advance.
and then I'm gonna yell at you at aliens for about 2.5 hours that
That'll
following
be the
that.
follow-up. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
It's
yeah.
gonna be a lot of yelling for
Yeah.
the aliens episode.
But yeah,
Well,
sometimes
friends,
you gotta just step back, a little bit from the looking glass and try to find the connection between, you know, the classical picks that everyone
Hmm.
has and why you love them, and then
Right,
your own more idiosyncratic tastes.
for sure. Absolutely. I do think Eyes Wide Shut allows for that. And I think it's maybe why there's lots of reasons why it's endured, but one of the big things with its reputation is that it is enigmatic, and what it means to you is going to vary from what it means to the next person, and
Mhm.
that keeps it fresh. That doesn't that's kind of as I was talking earlier about his discipline as a filmmaker, I think 12 Angry Men could be a personal favorite of yours. It is certainly a personal favorite of mine. Not like because it's canonical.
L-
That movie means something to me.
Letterboxed top four for
But
myself.
it's very this is what this movie is, right? Your interpretation
Mhm.
of 12 Angry Men is your interpretation of 12 Angry Men. Your interpretation of Eyes Wide Shut is, you know, it's not
Yeah.
it's not founded on nothing, but it's a lot more open-ended in that way. And I think that that's a cool combination to have with a filmmaker as precise as Stanley Kubrick is. So, that's that. Merry Christmas to all. God bless us everyone. No humbug. All that good stuff. Thanks so much you guys for listening. Thanks for being here. Morgan Cole, and we'll look forward to talking to you guys at some point in January. Maybe a new release. We'll definitely have a new year-end wrap-up coming for 2025 at some point, Jan Feb, whenever Morgan's actually got like the proper releases in his
Yeah.
area. We need some testaments and
Yeah. Need Ann Lee. I need Secret Agent. I need uh I guess I need Surratt.
yeah,
Resurrection.
Resurrections
Yeah,
happening right
yeah.
after New Year's here. So yeah,
I
we're
need
looking forward
I,
to it.
I need them to play My Undesirable Friends again. It's like 5.5 hours long, but they only played it at like noon and 5 p.m.
Is that the Russian journalist documentary?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a gauntlet.
Hmm. I
that
always I
Oscar
always love
for
doing documentary catch up for a year. Although you end up watching a lot of bullshit. Well,
Such
at
is the
least
way.
if you go off of Oscars shortlist, you'll watch a lot of bullshit because they like to nominate a lot of bullshit documentaries. But anyway, that's a story for another day. This will be very likely, I assume, our last episode for the year. So thank you guys. Have a great holiday, and we'll see you in 2026. Bye, everybody.
that.